This video was created during the 2023 WGA and SAG strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, Ahsoka wouldn't exist. Learn more about the strike at the link in the description.
Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the show between shows, our Ahsoka after show. We're talking about part 6 today. Far, Far Away is the title of the episode. Sorry, we're a little late. It was my fault this time. We were 1 minute late, technically, from our 6:03 start time.
Not my fault.
StreamYard wouldn't recognize any of my stuff. I had to restart my whole computer. But here we are. We're ready to go. We're ready to talk. Hilo's here. And so is our guest. Our guest for this week is returning to the show, good friend of ours, Ken Plume. Welcome back.
Glad to be back. You can blame me. I'll take the blame.
It was Ken's fault. Ken sent me a virus.
They took me out for a walk. A little bit late.
We were just people have come to expect the 6:03 time start. 6:04, it's not that bad. Only a minute late. We could have done worse.
6:05 crew is here.
Whoever's rewatching this in the future, it's right on time. It's just when they started it. It's
exactly. Started. Thank you. Well, Ken, before we talk about this episode specifically, how are you feeling about Ahsoka as a series? Are you enjoying it?
I am. I feel it's a rewatch show. In that my initial watch of it, I'm sort of, I need to get used to all these things that are happening and these things that we're seeing. So I'm slightly on the fence about it and probably more critical than I should be. And then when I rewatch it, I'm enjoying it more because I've gotten past all of the initial shock of seeing certain characters for the first time in live action and saying that this is, I think you mentioned last in your review that this is sort of the high fantasy side of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So you really have to lean into this playing in that realm of Star Wars, but I'm enjoying it. I'm become very zen in my increasing old age when it comes to watching anything anymore. And finding ways to enjoy things.
Should have also asked, what is your relationship with the Clone Wars and Rebels? I think you've seen them all. I think we've talked about that before.
I've seen them all. Did not watch Clone Wars on its initial release. I binged it all, I think, right before the 7th season. Or the finale, the Siege of Mandalore came out. I sort of did a deep dive on everything. And then Rebels, I started watching from end of season 2 on, and then caught up to that point, and then watched as it was released.
So how about Legend stuff? Did you read the books back in the 90s? Or
I did. I read a lot of the stuff. I remember picking up the Thrawn trilogy and being excited about that when there was nothing else to have. Legends, I got into the books for a little bit in the, I'm going to say, mid to late 90s, sort of catching and diving into that, and it just got to be too much to keep up with. And the quality was varying from book to book. So it wasn't enough to where I felt I had to read every single one of them. And then once you find out that, George didn't have any need to have any fidelity to any of the storytelling in it sort of felt even more non-essential to dive back into it. So I'm a Wikipedia reader when it comes to a lot of those things. I will find out what was in stories, but not necessarily feeling the need to actually read the books themselves.
It's interesting kind of the relationship people had who, like, I didn't have to really wait for any books because I got into Star Wars 97, 98. And there were already plenty of Star Wars books for me to read. And I feel like I could binge them, where I was just, in my mind, reading, the continuing history of Star Wars and didn't have to, like, wait month to month or anything like some
the High Republic is treating you?
Yeah, like that. It's been interesting having to shift my perspective because back in the Legends days, I was just like, what's next? Give me whatever's next. And I was 10, 11, 12, so I didn't have any real big old criticisms of them. I didn't notice the up and down in quality. I was just like, yep, and this is what happens next. There's another super weapon. I got it.
Alex is feeling better.
I'm still a little stuffy. I actually just scarfed down right before the stream. I had a ton of hot ramen, like spicy ramen, and now I'm sweating. So that was a mistake.
You always want to go fresh into a new live stream, nice and sweaty.
Already sweating. Yeah, my back is already moist.
Ew.
Well, that's the poll clip for this session.
Well, Molly, how did this episode land for you? Because you did not read any of the Star Wars books back in the 90s.
No, I did not. I know as much about Thrawn as from what you've told me from Legends and from watching Rebels. So, and I've always liked the character. I did read, which one is it? Thrawn Alliances is the one with Anakin and Vader in it. I did read that book. That's the only Thrawn book that I read because it had Padme in it. But this episode was really fun. It took a turn that I wasn't expecting. I was really excited to get to this other universe or galaxy and like figure out what was going on there. And the fact that they took the Nightsister route even further, I am very intrigued. I love Nightsister lore. So I was pretty stoked when the three, what are they called? The Great Mothers?
The Great Mothers, yeah.
I'll just go ahead and show my drawing because I whipped it up super fast, but I drew just like a very primitive drawing of the three mothers standing there in their little magic circle thingy.
I like it. It's like you storyboarded it.
Yeah, this is my storyboard. This is straight from Filoni's office, actually.
Yeah, you just took it off the wall.
Yeah. So I'm just excited to learn more. I'm excited to see what was in those catacombs that needs to be transported in little coffin-like cases.
Yeah, this is like spooky season Star Wars for you, right?
This is full-on spooky Star Wars, and I'm here for it.
Perfect timing right before October gets here.
We got witches and potentially zombies and monsters, and who else knows what's coming down the pike after that.
I love that. Yeah, like everyone is already on board with just like all those stormtroopers are zombies. Like I think we had that thought during our reaction, and I wasn't expecting just about everyone to be on board with that. But
all but like three of them. There's three that still just they're really weirded out.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, not me next. That's the last thing I expected was for Thrawn to be in charge of some undead army.
I don't know if I would say Thrawn's in charge. I mean, I guess he kind of is, but that's something that I was a little curious about was why are the Nightsisters trusting Thrawn? Like, why are they helping him? And Alex, we talked a little bit about it earlier. Maybe they need his help to get off this planet because Morgan mentioned something about her ancestors being able to harness and ride the Purrgil, but maybe they can't do that anymore. And they know that they got wiped out in the other galaxy, so maybe they want to go back.
Well, I can't
specifically mentions that he made a pact with them.
The whole like, we'll load the cargo as we agreed, we'll take your cargo back to the main galaxy. I assume
from the catacombs.
Right, like your cargo. We'll take all your bodies. Like I think we're gonna see some serious Nightsister stuff happening in the next couple weeks. But I think that they also want to get off of Caridia. However they got there, I don't know if they're like the last people living on that planet or if they
missed the main galaxy, like the last bus.
And did they come back? Like, how did they get there? I want to know how they met Thrawn, but the whole alliance makes sense to me where they want his help leaving too. He certainly would want to learn about the Force because he keeps getting beat by it. So he's probably getting a trade-off of information there.
Well, if he has an established connection with Morgan Elsbeth, which seemed like that pre-existed him coming to this place unintentionally, not his choice. So he could have presented to the Nightsisters like, hey, I know a Nightsister. She used to be a Nightsister. If you want to communicate with someone so we can try and mutually get off of here, this is the way to do it through this person. I mean, just as you said, you use the alliances word. Is that like if he had a t-shirt he could wear around, isn't that the Thrawn t-shirt? I does alliances.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing.
Thrawn alliances too. But it's interesting that it took them 10 years to start contacting Morgan.
Mm.
Well, I mean, if their only communication is through dreams, that's not a very reliable method of imparting a lot of information.
How many years did she have to have the same dream before she was like, maybe there's more to this?
I don't know how many consecutive repeat dreams I would have to be like, you know what, I think I should go on a mission.
Yeah, I got to drive across the country and find someone.
that might take a while.
And what's with my teeth? Why does that keep happening? But also, it seems like a weird thing to wait when the Empire's fallen apart and all the infrastructure to mount a rescue is gone. Like Morgan prior to this was head of the factory. She had all these means to do so. The Empire still existed up until 5 years prior to this. There was a full-on Empire. Was it something that was shot down continuously? The Emperor's like, no, we're not going to do that. You can't have the resources. I need to build a second Death Star.
Could have been. He may have just been annoyed that Thrawn disappeared at all and be like, forget it. He failed me. I'm not going to save him. I could see
just
that.
Out of spite.
Yeah.
Just ignoring his own dream outreaches from Thrawn.
Yeah, I mean, Thrawn was anti-Death Star anyway, so Palpatine was probably like, he's not on board.
He thinks he's so smug.
Yeah.
He just loves his TIE Defender so much.
Since we're kind of talking about it, I was going to pull up some of these super chats that are relevant. Matthew Byron, what does Thrawn need the mother's magic for? We kind of touched on that.
Well, I think we're going to see, like, at the end of this episode, he's like, great mothers, I need your magic once again. First of all, the once again suggests that they've done stuff for him already, like reanimate his dying stormtrooper army.
Yeah, those guys are, I think those guys are zombies. I know a lot of people in the chat have said so also, except for the Enoch, the gold mask guy. I feel like he's probably
who I don't care is still Ezra. Alive. I'm still gonna say he's Ezra.
Enoch is Ezra. No, Marok is Ezra, Ken.
Well, Enoch is Marok is Ezra.
And Dean the Machine, I would love to do a Nightsister cosplay. Probably not in time for this spooky season, but I mean, if we end up going to Celebration in Japan, that would be the place to do it.
Just in general, this episode was like a dream for cosplayers. Even just if you have a standard Stormtrooper outfit, now you can pizzazz it up with red tape and gold trim of some kind. Just randomly paint gold on it.
You can really flare it out.
But I wanted to go back to Matthew's question about if he's going to use magic more. I think next episode we're going to see them attack the Purrgil or Ahsoka as they come in. I think we're going to see more than just Morgan's little bit of green flame, like that one little candle. I think they're going to do something crazy next week.
I hope so.
That's already a Purrgil graveyard, so.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, are is the Purrgil that are taking Ahsoka and Huyang, are they gonna all die now?
Like that's their final trip? Like, oh yeah, we're already heading there because this is our death trip.
Yeah. I guess they don't have to, but it sounds like Thrawn hates even more the Jedi and now very much the Purrgil.
Yeah. He's got a grudge against them whales.
But as far as the trade-off of needing the magic, Thrawn obviously can't communicate with the galaxy far away that he came from. So he needs them for communication, and they need him to have the agent to arrange the means out.
I really like that they showed how bad of a shape the Chimera was in. Like, its three primary engines are just gone. Like, they don't work anymore. I loved seeing all of the repairs that they made. I guess I should show my drawing too, which I also slapped together right before this, but I was just so happy to see the underside of that Star Destroyer with the full design and everything. I wasn't thinking they weren't going to do it. I fully expected to see it, but the second that ship showed up, I was like trying to see the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I assume Thrawn is fully aware of what happened to the Empire. Yeah, I don't know if it's a two-way communication that Morgan Elsbeth is able to relay to him via whatever the dream communication is that
I think I would.
He's got a link to Morgan's live journal, and she's updating it every day.
Her vision board of the future.
I think it makes sense that he would know, especially having the three great mothers. They seem to know.
I assume they also know about the downfall of the Nightsisters as brought about by the Empire. Like, I can't imagine that that's not communicated through communication through the Force.
Well, technically, that was the Separatists, but it was at Sidious's command. So,
but Towson knew who commanded it to happen and had that final confrontation as well when she was. So,
it seems as though many of the Nightsisters, like Merrin in the book Battle Scars, is seeking vengeance on the Empire because she knows that they are what the Separatists became. Or she knows who was in charge. So I think it's likely that they also know. But I do think it would be funny if, just like Ezra doesn't know what happened and he had to be like, the plan did work, right? It'd be funny if Thrawn showed up in the main galaxy like, okay, where's that Death Star? Like, just completely clueless.
That was probably the most Rebels of anything that's happened so far, is the Ezra Sabine exchange of him just not knowing exactly what she did and just assuming that, and her, well, we'll talk later. Can we just have this
also,
moment?
When he was like, my plan worked, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Like the fact that they just fell into banter immediately, it felt straight out of Rebels. Also, the Noti or whatever were the little crab people.
The little crab people, they were so cute.
Yeah, they seemed like they were straight out of the Clone Wars. All of that was fun.
We even got
so weird.
Tusken Raiders.
Yeah,
the nomads.
The nomads are on this planet.
Nomads.
I assume there are other planets in this galaxy. I don't think we're going to explore it, but now I'm curious.
One of them is Earth.
Ended up there. Yeah, one is Earth.
Well, there's going to see
that's something
Sackhoff,
I hope they never ever do.
Full circle.
I hope they never ever bring Earth into Star Wars. I'm like, keep it separate.
We don't know. 10, 20 years from now, desperate for stories, they could do anything.
Yeah.
So we all showing drawing? Should I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
Mine, I think the moment that struck me the most was the far, far away of it all and the storytelling aspect and just representing all of Star Wars. So I did that.
Oh, you went all like full color, and that's amazing.
That's awesome. You can see the little whale mouth.
That's
awesome. I liked that the whale kept its mouth open a little bit so they could kind of see the light.
Just get a little light into their cockpit.
Although I did do an alternate drawing, just in case, for Mollie's sake, we did see the planet of the baby Grogu.
Yay! I mean, she hasn't showed up in this galaxy yet, so maybe
which still could happen.
Yeah, we don't know where the Purrgil are taking her. It does sound like it's taking her to the right place, but she doesn't know. She's like, they can take us anywhere.
They're all just hiding under rocks, like the little crab people.
Yeah, we'll see them. We'll see them before the end. That's who they've all band together and use the Force to send them back across the galaxy.
I liked Hu Yang teasing all of us with like, oh yeah, a history of the galaxy. And do you want me to tell you a story? And Ahsoka's like, no. And everyone else is like, well, I want to hear it. I want to hear the history of the galaxy.
I love that she also had a favorite one.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's for sure. Like leaning into the Star Wars fans.
I don't want to hear him again, but this one's my favorite.
Yeah. And I think it can easily fall into like people are already going to debate, oh, well, is she an original trilogy fan or is she a prequel, or I guess an original history fan or prequel history? Does the format of parts 1, 2, and 3 go original, prequel, sequel, or does it go prequel, original, sequel?
Hu Yang only knows what Old Republic, High Republic, and prequel era. That's pretty much where his stories would cut off.
But there's so much that we don't know about Old Republic that it could be like part 3 really zooms through the High Republic. That could include the High Republic all the way up to the Sith Wars, and then parts 1 and 2 could be
Listen, if they want to have
so
David
long.
Tennant do Hu Yang's Tales
Uh-huh.
and just have a full-on series of that, fine. It can be an audio book. He can improvise whatever he wants. Michael Sheen will show up. It's anything they want to do.
Hu Yang's Tales, I like that. Hu Yang's History.
I would read it.
Hu History.
I think that sounds like a great audio drama that they could do.
He'd be up for it. 10 11, whatever fun they want to have with it.
I'm curious, what do you guys think about, because I see a lot of people in chat talking about Ezra. Did Thrawn just let him leave and go do whatever? Did he just like kick him to the curb? Do we think he tried to kill him and he escaped? Because I feel like Thrawn wouldn't have just let him live.
Yeah, but Thrawn's got a crippled starship, and who knows what damages the troops took in that initial crushing of the Purrgil and travel.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Ezra's just been doing his rebel thing. He's got a whole new band of rebels around him, and it's probably been a thorn in Thrawn's side this whole time.
I think that there's more to learn about it. I mean, the fact that he was like, here you go, Sabine. Here's the last known location of Ezra, but he might be dead. And he told Balen, like, Sabine and her obsession for finding Ezra, that's going to be useful to us. I think he knows where Ezra has been. And yeah, you're right, Ken. He's probably been a thorn in his side. I assume Ezra escaped at some point. I don't see Thrawn just being like, get out of here. I'm mad at you.
Well, I could also just see Thrawn being like, well, he got us here. So if there's any chance of us leaving this place, maybe I shouldn't kill him. And so I wonder if he was just like, I'm so sick of you right now. I don't want to look at your face. Get out.
I don't even see you right now.
He's just
I'm going to keep
like,
an eye on you, but get away.
La, 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 like pretending he's not there.
But I wonder how much of this relates to a moment that I really noticed on the shuttle coming down from the ship with Balen and Shin and Sabine and such, when Shin and Sabine shared that look between each other. And it got me thinking about what we explored last episode and sort of the generational trauma being passed down by these teachers, these masters, to their apprentices, and how much of their agenda is informing the next generation. And that we see in Thrawn as well an inability to let go of the structure of the Empire. Like, it's not like he made it suddenly like a Chiss ship with the remnants. He hung together and kept it as this Empire thing with a plan to return to the Empire. So I'm wondering how much of Ezra's story might also be a sort of, he did learn to adapt. Maybe he was sort of, if it doesn't happen, it's fine. I've made a life here, but it's great that you made it. My plan worked. We can go. Like, I wonder if his next move is, can we take my friends with me so they don't have to fight these nomads? Can we bring this new family, this found family I have here? I can't see him leaving him. That's not like a very Ezra thing to do.
Yeah. And it does seem like everyone that's on that planet wants to get away from that planet.
Well, except for Balen, who wants to embrace whatever is on that planet that makes everyone want to leave.
Which I'm glad we finally got some information about what is driving him. It's still like everything in this episode, it gave us some answers and then posed a bunch of new questions, which Star Wars does all the time. But what do we think he is after? Is it some, I don't know. I don't even have any speculation. Like, we've been tossing around the world between worlds or access to it or something, but
that's
I don't know.
That was going to be my guess, because it sounds like he wants to. He says he likes the idea of the Jedi, but I think he wants to try to do it himself. And like he's got this like weird God complex where he thinks he can do it better. And like when Shin was like, yeah, like I was trained to be a Jedi, and he was like, no, I trained you to be more than that. And it's like, okay, well, she looks like a Jedi to me, or a Dark Jedi, if you want
By
to
the
use
braid.
that term.
Is that also part of the more then?
Yeah.
That's Shin was really, both of them were great this episode, and Shin just seeming like she doesn't even know who or what she is very interesting. That she's like, oh, a Jedi, I'm like a Jedi, and he's like, no, don't say that.
Yeah, but it seems like he said something like the Night Sisters are fleeing from a power maybe even greater than theirs, so he seems to think that there's some kind of power here that he can harness.
But he wants to end the cycle. I mean, there's only so many ways you can end a cycle of endless wars. One of which is the end of everything. Is that what he's looking for? Is he looking just to end it all? Because that's kind of a cycle you can't really stop.
Yeah, I just assumed he wanted to start over in this new galaxy somewhere. But
Maybe he just wants to be a small businessman. Maybe that's his whole plan. He wants to open a little shop there. That's how he ends the cycle. It's like, I don't want to be a Jedi. I want to be a haberdasher. I want to make these cool clothes like I have and sell them to other people.
Yeah.
I am definitely getting vibes that he's gonna go on this quest, find whatever he's after, and it'll be an Indiana Jones style ending for him, where his obsession winds up destroying him somehow.
And Shin turns away from him in that moment, and
doesn't
get pulled down.
I'm seeing a rift starting to form in their relationship. Like, she seemed surprised that Balen is now going to go hunt Sabine down and kind of go against what he promised her. He and Thrawn are like, oh, well, technically we're going to keep our word, but no, not really. And I think Shin can probably see that the closer they get to whatever he wants, I think his word is going to mean less and less. He'll probably turn his back on her a little more. And
you see like a Thanos moment where, ultimately it might come to get what he wants. It means sacrificing her. And in that moment, she feels betrayed. Like, oh, you're ultimately turning your back on me too. I thought we were like, team number one.
Yeah, it could be. Because I definitely think that they have, I don't know, like appreciation for each other. They're not like your normal dark side master and apprentice relationship where they're constantly bickering or trying to fight one another secretly or anything like that. I think they really do care for each other.
I don't think he wants her to eventually kill him. That's kind of the Sith.
But does he want to bring her with him? Because I think the thread with him and also what Ahsoka saw in herself with Sabine was treating their apprentices like tools rather than people.
I mean, he seemed pretty mad when Ahsoka used the Force to like smash her against that wall. He kind of reacted to that pretty strongly. So I think he cares for her a lot. I just don't know what the plan is.
Right. And I think that him caring for her is going to be outweighed by whatever it is that he eventually wants to find. And she seems so not enthused about being on Peridia. She was just like, this place is a wasteland. Who even knows if what you're looking for is real? Who even knows if she knows what they're looking for? Because the audience doesn't, but maybe he's really keeping things secret.
She didn't seem enthused with the whole job in general from the start. She lost her only other buddy, Marok.
Yeah. Or about the witches. She was like, more witches.
Yeah, she's scared of the witches. She just doesn't. She seems like she's kept in the dark for a lot of this stuff. And like I said, she doesn't have her own identity. And she's constantly looking to Balen to be like, what do we do? What's next? I think that's probably going to end. So I'm really hopeful that she makes it out of here. I think she might join the good guy side and travel back. Because I kind of figure she and Balen, maybe that's what'll really set her off, is the fact that Thrawn's going to leave and she'll be stuck out there.
Do you think we'll see, because we need to resolve whatever's happening with Balen. We need to get them all. Ahsoka's got to show up and have whatever confrontation she's going to have with whoever. Then we need to get all these characters back to the main universe in 2 episodes.
I think,
and then whatever happens in the main universe, I'm assuming there has to be something. I mean, they can't sort of drop the series without a clear showing of Thrawn being a threat in the actual Star Wars galaxy.
Oh yeah, I think that's why they showed us those 3 New Republic ships at Cetos. Like they're gonna come back to Cetos. Thrawn is gonna be in this one busted up Star Destroyer, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, what an easy fight!" And then he's just gonna wipe the floor with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll happen in Episode 8. Episode 7, I kind of figure is gonna be resolving Balen. I think Balen and Shin, Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka, they're all going to get left behind by the Star Destroyer, and then they'll have to find their own way home, probably just with Purgil again.
So in episode 8, Shin's on Team Ahsoka.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Even if it's like a tenuous alliance.
I wasn't sure if we would even get to see Thrawn come back to the other galaxy by the end of the show, but I think he will, and like I think we're gonna need that reaction from the New Republic and like the senators and them, and being like, "Oh no, he's actually back. We should have listened to you guys." Oh my god! Let me go see what he's barking at.
You expecting a package?
Someone's probably walking by the front door. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the New Republic response. I imagine we're just going to see them going, we're going to meet in a committee and discuss this, and we don't actually find out what their reaction is.
I think it's going to be something along the lines of at the end of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where the whole time the Ministry of Magic is like, no, Voldemort can't come back. No. And then they all see him with their own eyes, and they start to believe.
So we'll get a Mon Mothma facepalm?
Kind of just like oh, he is back. Hopefully it's treated more as like a Mon Mothma is on the side of Hera, but I think Hera will get the big "I told you so" moment.
And when she finds out, Perrin pops up from behind her and goes, "He's back! Oh, he's awesome!"
That like Xiono, I think, is the one that needs to really get some shame out of that.
But we also know there's no real repercussions for him in all this.
But still, that'd be nice for that. There's no real repercussions for plenty of real world senators, but Xiono can still look like a fool for this moment.
Yeah, you're now on the sanitation committee.
It was Amazon, as usual.
Yeah, we're going to exile you to Hosnian Prime. Enjoy it.
What did we haven't really talked a whole lot about just Thrawn and his introduction. We talked about like Legends Thrawn and stuff, but I was so hyped up when they slowly revealed like the Star Destroyer and then all the stormtroopers and then the organ music and then Enoch.
We were literally recording our reaction last night, and Alex shushed me for reacting. For I don't know what I was talking about. I was talking about the night troopers.
I just wanted to sit in that moment. I just wanted to take it in. I'll answer your questions later. Just give me a second.
I wasn't asking you questions. I was talking.
I mean, it was a reaction video. It's both of your reactions. Why were you shutting down a reaction?
I wasn't shutting. I just wanted some silence for a second, a moment of silence of respect for our man Thrawn.
This is why our reactions are only available to patrons, because I would feel bad putting them out just for the general public as free content, because they're not great reactions, because I'm the one that wants to do them and Alex doesn't like doing them, so I make him do them and then I get shushed.
Look,
so
I'm not gonna like up my reaction just for the sake of a thumbnail.
No,
I just want to sit there and watch the show the way I want to watch it, and then when I get all excited, it's a real genuine reaction.
So I feel in the middle of you two as far as Thrawn in general. So I know Thrawn as a character. I read the books. I enjoyed the books at the time. I'm certainly not a Thrawn fanboy that it's been like the light of my life for him to return. I thought it was interesting and fun for a character like that to be brought back and worked back into modern continuity. I've enjoyed Lars Mikkelson's performance. I love the novelty of bringing him in to portray that in live action. I thought it was great to see him in live action, but it's not like the end all be all of my existence that Thrawn had to come back, or I'm disappointed in the fact that it didn't live up to the godlike status that he holds within the books for some folks, and how Rebels ruined him, and he's not he's not able to bench press a starship at a moment's notice, and can run circles around you. I like the fact that he just comes out, as we all have post-pandemic, and just, he's lived a hard life.
His uniform is like frayed at some edges, but it's 10 years old. It's
his
okay.
Uniform is frayed. He's he's sort of ambling along, but he's still existing. He still has a presence about him. So I was happy for his return, but it wasn't the end all be all of my existence for him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I was assuming that, I have to assume for my own sanity, that this whole time he hasn't been wearing these uniforms. Like, he's been in sweatpants. He's just been chilling. He's got chip crumbs all over him. But then he found out that people were here, and so he got his nice
Enoch, get my good suit
back out. Yeah. And quickly changed into it, slicked his hair back, and it was like, aha,
polish your face.
Yeah, I'm sure
no matter what
more.
he's wearing, those night troopers are going to chant his name and be his biggest cheerleader.
I mean, if they truly are zombies, then they probably do that every morning. He's just making coffee, and they're like, Thrawn, you can do it.
Could you please turn them down? I need to watch my stories.
I agree with you, Molly. I hope he hasn't been wearing that uniform every day for 10 years. Like, I'm sure he has multiple.
Well, we've seen his workout gear.
He had to choose which one looked the best.
The least frayed of all of them. Well, this one's a little tight. Think they'll notice?
But I want to know what all the gold is. I mean, I don't think they're going to go into it, but the ship's been repaired with gold. The troopers have gold on them.
Yeah, I think
just some kind of mineral that is on that planet?
Yeah, that's something I don't think they'll go into. I think it's just supposed to be like so many other Japanese inspirations that this show has gone into, the kintsugi thing.
But also they've had 10 years of solid wear fighting Ezra's rebels, nomads, whoever, or whatever was left of them after they arrived there. I mean, a lot of that damage could have been caused just in transit or the attack, as far as piecing them all back together.
And that moment of Thrawn, there's no other real reason I can think of it for that one scene where he says, send 2 groups out to back up Balen and Shin, and Morgan's like, not more, and he's just like, look, our numbers have dwindled. So that just seems like another tick in the box for zombie troopers.
Yeah,
only 2 of the groups don't chant my name and give their positions away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine that I would think it's all Nightsister magic.
The whole Marok thing, the way he died, that all could have just been set up for when we see a trooper get shot and the same thing happens. We could just see that happening over and over and over.
Because I'm kind of torn over whether or not I think Enoch is also one of the zombie troopers, if they are zombie troopers, or if he's the only alive one. But his voice, even though it's just the modular voice from having the helmet on, it sounds similar to Marok.
I hope he's not a zombie, or at least a well-maintained one, just because I like Wes Chatham. I love him in The Expanse, so I want to see him without the helmet.
You brought up that it was a biblical reference, which I know nothing about, so I looked him up, and you probably know more about it than I do, but he was led into heaven alive. Is that the story?
He was in the book of Genesis, the first book, and he was 365 years old, and God was just like, hey, come on into heaven. So he
You're
didn't have to
super
die.
faithful. You're cool.
Yeah, he didn't have to die to go to heaven. So I think it can be seen multiple ways, where Enoch could be one of the dead troopers who has like defeated death, or he could be the one trooper who has not succumbed to death or something like that.
Or he could have been native of that planet that was brought into Thrawn's. I mean, do you think he could be a replacement for Reek? Now that
Rook,
Reek is off Rook is off the table.
Yeah, I do think I'm going to work on a video on all about Enoch and Rook and what happens with Rook back in the day. But I do think that's a character that probably needs replacing for this story.
It's sort of like a fighting functionary of Thrawn to send out to do the battles.
And a bodyguard and someone that's close by him. But that could play into him being a member of Peridia, or like a native to Peridia. I could kind of see that.
Could make that mask of his be a sort of reflection of Thrawn, meaning there's an alien face beneath that, but he puts on that face on the helmet to, like, I'm your man. This is my reflection of you. And that's why
they're a shiny blue face.
Yeah.
I could have sworn like one of them painted its helmet blue, but I think it was just black from the damage. Maybe it had like fire damage or something on it. But that would have been cool if we got kind of like the Ahsoka trooper helmets were painted orange. If we had a couple of blue ones in the mix, it'd be nice.
Just super fanatic. I mean, it does seem like that whole group, dead or alive, they are fanatics for Thrawn. They seem really into it, but that is kind of his thing. That when Timothy Zahn created the character, he wanted someone who led through respect and not fear, like Vader or the Emperor. He wanted Thrawn's troops to genuinely want to follow him into battle. So
the crew of the Chimera was already on board with Thrawn before any of this happened.
Probably, yeah. So
and now there's a little more zealot in them then.
It's still like, I'm very curious to see if they are alive or dead or a mix or what. But that we have yet to see all of Thrawn's superpowers, I guess, which is why I think we need to see a big battle.
You think his office is still intact?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Are we going to see his what's left of his art collection?
Yeah,
I hope so.
I think that makes sense.
I loved his reaction to Sabine being there, because that just brought me right back to those two in Rebels.
Just him going, oh, there's a familiar name.
Yeah.
And he probably still has some of her art up in his office.
He's hoping to do a commission.
Yeah.
By the way, while you're here,
I want to talk about our good boy, the Howler.
The Howler.
That she needs to give it a name, like the cat without a name. This good boy needs a name, but I don't know if he'll get one. I thought he was adorable.
What does she have against naming?
I don't know.
The animals around
We don't
her.
know that the Loth cat doesn't have a name. We just haven't heard.
Sure. Yeah. But
what would you name the Howler?
Howie.
I immediately like that.
Howie the Howler. Sam. But it looked there was so many connections to Lord of the Rings in this episode, just like this entire show, really.
This whole show.
It looked just like the wargs from Lord of the Rings, which I thought was cool.
It jumped out to me as something from the Never-Ending Story, like that wolf creature. But I think it all just was hearkening back to 80s
the nothing
fantasy. Yeah, the nothing. It's just all going back to 80s fantasy and seeing that Nightsister tower.
It was one of the best looking creatures they've done. Like, it looked the least CG of a lot of the stuff that they've done.
Its little tail wagging was so cute.
With its tongue, I thought the tongue looked really real. It's like they didn't. That's too articulate to be complete puppetry.
This show overall, I think, has looked very good. There were definitely some shots in this episode that I think the night troopers all look kind of digital. A lot of them just had that kind of digital clone trooper feel to them, and there were
some
definitely
shuffly
some
ones in the front
shots.
row.
There were
Yeah,
definitely some
there's-
shots that had volume feel to it, but I'm just like, I didn't care at all.
They probably had like 20 real ones, and then it was the volume behind that.
Right.
Do you think they used 501st again? It's like, listen, you're gonna have to do something to your armor.
Yeah, everyone take a hammer to your armor. We'll tape it back together.
That's
How much
great
do you want to
for-
be in a Star Wars?
That's great for anyone who has a set of armor that might be kind of used and beat up looking. Now you can just be a night trooper.
That's it. If I had a set of armor, I would consider going night trooper with it. That just looked so cool.
Yeah.
So who do you think has been the best Rebels to live action adaptation so far?
Chopper.
Well,
He has a leg up. It was pretty easy for him.
I think Hera is like, I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is doing a great performance as Hera. The look isn't quite there for me. For some reason, like Hera's makeup and Thrawn's makeup is very flat looking. It's lacking a lot of contour that they could add, but there could be a million reasons for that.
So it seems
But
like more of a uniform paint job as
Yeah.
opposed to.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's for continuity's sake, if they don't want to go too complicated with the makeup because they got to slap it on
I
the
am
same every day.
Or it's
thinking
CG.
that it's.
I
I think
mean-
it's going to be a lot like Ahsoka. That the first time we saw her in The Mandalorian, people were like, her Montrals don't look this or that. Or people were critical of how she looked. And then every appearance, she looks better and better. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking the same thing will happen with Hera and Thrawn.
I'd like to
It's-
see on-set footage of Hera and Thrawn, because we saw in WandaVision that the Vision's makeup is not. That's all
Yeah.
CG.
It's true.
I think Thrawn's makeup, there's a good chance that's CG. Hera's makeup, I can see her peach fuzz underneath it. Like that's makeup in a lot of those shots. But I wouldn't be surprised if Lars was like, no, just do it post, like do it in post. The eyes, the skin, the whole shebang. I'll wear the stupid wig, but that's it. That's all you
When
get.
I
They
commit,
just
I
have
commit.
a hose and they spray him down with blue paint every morning. And
At the end of the day, he's like, leave it.
You
I'll
go
see
to
you
craft
tomorrow.
services and there's blue hand marks on everything. And you're like,
it's very,
Lars.
very Tobias Funke.
When I want to see Thrawn's Blue Man group.
Yeah. For my favorite Rebels transition to live action, I mean, just second for second right now, and it's recency bias, but Ezra was great. I
He had the
immediately-
delivery and the cadence
Yep.
down.
Mhm.
I mean,
It might be against a lot of people's preferences, but I kind of want him to lose the beard.
I think he'll trim it up.
I'm
Mollie
fine
wants.
with, like-
He's been in exile for 10 years, and
What? There's nothing sharp there.
well, I mean, he's been cutting his hair. I mean, that should be a lot longer if he hasn't been doing some kind of grooming.
I think some stubble would be fine, but I don't know if it kind of takes me out of it with like the big bushy beard.
I thought he looked great. He can use a trim, fine, but I thought he looked perfect. And kind of like Thrawn and how he must have panicked to get ready to present himself. I wonder, just Ezra so casually leaning there, being like, "Oh God, what am I going to say?
Do you
What
think he was
did I say to her
practicing
last?
posing before she turned around? Like, should
Exactly,
I look like this?
What's the best way to present myself to say hello again? What was the last thing I said to her? Oh, like, I knew I could count on you.
Should I pop out of the doorway? Should I
It
call
was
her in
also
here?
casual and cool.
Yeah,
Should I put on
I
a
wasn't
voice?
expecting him to show up that quickly, but I'm glad he did.
I'm glad they did for the Enoch of it all. That we didn't
Yeah.
have a week of having to deal with that.
Oh yeah, That's
I've been
true.
enjoying the Sabine, the walking down the stairs of her. We had a deal. Like so much of I think they've translated well. The Sabine doesn't always make what seems in the moment the right choice. and it's consistently been that. And I thought the portrayal of that has been carried off very well by Natasha throughout this.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Do we think Ezra's going to be mad when he finds out how she got there?
I would love if he was, because I would enjoy her comeback of, yeah, what about all the times you did dumb things?
Yeah.
So really, you don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to doing the dumb thing in the moment because you thought it was right.
Yeah. I think he'll understand that she had one shot and she had to take it.
It's interesting that, like, I've seen people arguing that, I mean, the whole reason he sacrificed himself that way was to take Thrawn away. And that is true. But I think him doing that meant that the Rebel Alliance could win the war. So I still think his sacrifice meant something. And I'm sure we'll still explore it with Sabine and whether or not it was the right decision to bring war back to the galaxy just for the sake of Ezra. But I think there's more going on to it than we fully know right now.
In what way?
The way that Hu Yang kind of pushes back against Ahsoka, because she has that fear that Sabine made the selfish choice. She made it all for her. And it does look that way on the surface, but I want there to be something bigger at play, that Ezra coming back will also be key in defeating Thrawn again or something. I don't know what, but I guess I don't want it to just be that, well, Sabine was selfish and now Thrawn is going to wreak havoc on the New Republic. I just hope there's a little bit more to it.
I'm sure they're going to find a way to add some nuance to it.
I think they will too.
In the last 2 episodes. But yeah.
And one more thing from what Hu Yang said was just he added some line about how the Force gives you insight, and the way Ahsoka sees it is that Sabine went willingly, and if I had taught her more, she wouldn't have made that choice. But Hu Yang seems to suggest that there was more to her decision, so that's why I think there is probably more to it.
Well, also, and Ezra was communicating with her as well, because she was having these dreams.
Yeah, that's true.
So you talk about my plan. So his having a plan. That's the thing that hasn't been addressed about. Sure, Morgan's been getting these dream communiques. So is there something about that planet that facilitates that communication through the Force? And I do think certainly that she's more Force sensitive and has Force ability.
Yeah,
I don't subscribe to that. What Shin just faked or anticipated an attack. Like, that's not how the Force works. You don't look the other way because you think a Force thing is coming. I think that she genuinely has some Force power. I don't think it's developed at all. And you can't keep doing the bait and switch that they do with her.
The fact that they keep doing it just to me is like she's going to.
It's got to have some payoff by the finale.
Yeah, I think it will.
That was so funny though, when she thought she was using it and like things started shaking and then it was just old Blue coming in.
It was very Grogu thinking that he blew up that droid.
Yeah, and like
and we got to get an eye roll out of her eventually when it comes to these. It's like, really? Come on.
Really? One of
Force
these
is
times
just messing with me now.
But she straight up says to Balen in that scene where she's, maybe it was the first one, he's like, oh, I figured you would use this time to reflect or something like that. And she was like, I actively try not to do that.
She's like, I don't do that.
So that is like one of the reasons why she can't connect fully to the Force yet to be able to like use it, is because of that.
I'll be interested to see, if and when it happens, what it is that sparks it. Because I don't want it to just be like in the heat of almost dying, she saved her life with the Force. Like, I want her to be able to consciously do it.
So, question for you both on that, because I'm the idea of Sabine looking away from the Force. Can the argument also be made with like the Jedi Order of being too lost within the Force, that they ignored the connections immediately around them with people, with the people of the Republic beyond this greater sense and investment in the Force, that her being, that you see the two sides of being super invested in the Force and reaching out bigger picture, but you can't ignore the intimate picture as well and focus only on the bigger picture, because then you have collateral damage, emotional damage that happens from ignoring those personal connections, which Sabine leans into in that sort of way that Sabine has things to teach Ahsoka as well.
Well, yeah, I think the Clone Wars makes that exact argument in season 7 with Ahsoka and the Martez sisters. But I think that's been part of Ahsoka's journey too, is that she is on the opposite side of the spectrum as Sabine, where we just got to stop Thrawn. She's thinking big picture, and she hadn't, until last week, she hadn't really been thinking about rescuing Ezra and now rescuing Sabine. Whereas Sabine, I think, was more about like, we have to rescue Ezra and nothing else, and they need to meet in the middle. They need balance, just like Star Wars always teaches.
So you think the final episode is just going to be like the end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and every character from the Clone Wars and Rebels and all shows up in a big group scene for the fight ahead?
God, I hope not.
Of this? No. Maybe Filoni's movie.
Yeah, I'm wondering where this leads into the movie, because we talked about this yesterday, I think, but is there only going to be one season of this show, and then will it lead directly into Filoni's movie, or do you think they'll try to squeeze a second season
Also,
in?
what was the original plan? Because I think a lot of plans have changed as far as how many shows there were supposed to be and how many things were supposed to happen leading up to these things. I can't imagine that you don't have at least, well, you have Skeleton Crew, and however that's going to in some way factor in or inform or coexist with this, which was intended to come after this narratively. I can't imagine you don't do another season of The Mandalorian to set things up for his part in all this, because the last you left him, he's chilling out with Grogu and not actively involved in anything. Like, it seems like the movie, there's more pieces that need to be put into place before you can have the event movie of all of the action happening. Like, all these characters have not thread together enough to justify the big event movie. Like, I think you need at least another Thread of Thrawn season, like actively building up his power and consolidating. That seems like a lot to try and do in a movie, and then also defeat Thrawn and also have the team up of all these Mandoverse characters coming together to defeat him, because you haven't still established him as a threat or the Empire being back in any functional form.
I think we're still several like seasons of television away from the movie. I don't think we're going to get another season of Ahsoka because they are labeling these episodes as parts. And also, I just think that Filoni is going to be focused on the movie from this point forward. Like, he still might come in and direct an episode of The Mandalorian here or there, but I think he'll probably shift his focus to the film. And I don't think anyone else is going to write a season of Ahsoka without him. So
maybe we'll get another season of Book of Boba Fett so we can get another episode of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, this feels like a prelude to the movie, but also what's the opposite of a prelude?
A conclusion to Rebels.
A conclusion to Rebels. It's like this weird in-between show where they have to wrap up all these Rebels storylines, but then set up for the movie.
Yeah.
Like a bridge.
Like a bridge, yeah. And I do feel like it could lead directly into the movie, but I would also, like you said, Ken, like to see some other threads being dropped in things like Skeleton Crew and Mando to just make it feel more cohesive.
I think that this series has very much been about getting the live action audience on the same page, because I assume Ezra and Hera and Sabine and Ahsoka, like all these characters, Thrawn, of course, they're all going to be important moving forward for the movie. So this is kind of a like, let's conclude Rebels and also start to introduce these major players to the live action audience. And now everyone's going to be on the same page. And then Skeleton Crew, The Mandalorian, maybe something else will pop up here.
What's weird is that Rangers
we'll
of the New
keep on.
Republic felt like it could have been the glue show where you could
Yeah.
have brought all these characters in week to week to pop in, because they're all Rangers of the New Republic. They're all sort of in weird ways deputized to be part of whatever's happening and react against that.
Yeah, I think Mando season 4 will basically just be mostly what they had planned for Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah, I think
'Cause I feel
Mando
like
is going to work
way that
alongside Carson Teva.
Yeah, the way that it ended, it just felt like that's where they were headed with that.
Yeah.
Then we're going to see Zeb before the end of the season, right?
We have to. We just have to.
Gotta
Like,
get him on.
he's going to be the only one to not show up except in that picture. the
All
mural where
passing,
he
all
looks
passing around the
goofy.
picture of Kanan.
Yeah.
They got to bring in Zeb once Ezra gets back, right?
I think I
Someone's
genuinely
gotta tell
think we
him.
might have a really cool space battle.
And
in
that's when we
episode
see
8.
Hondo.
Hondo's like, oh no, I came
You're
in
back!
at a terrible moment.
Ezra, you grew a beard.
Jabba, it's my friend Jabba.
Then it's earned. Then Hondo's arrival is earned.
Yeah.
Hondo, he'll be in Skeleton Crew. Come
I have
on.
had this party
Oh,
for
I
10
hope-
years.
Wait,
I
Prepared
hope
for
so.
you. Welcome
I-
back.
I keep moving Hondo's, like, he'll show up in this season of The Mandalorian. No, he'll show up in Ahsoka. No, he'll show up in Skeleton Crew. I'm just waiting for live action Hondo.
Aren't we all?
It seems so weird that they've had that animatronic and portrayal for now.
And
what,
a live
4
action suit. An
4
actor has
years?
played it too, yeah.
that's existed
Uh-huh.
and not incorporated at all.
I'm sure that's a Filoni thing. Like,
Saving
Hondo's
for the-
mine.
For the Hondo
Hondo's
series,
mine, and I'm gonna use him when I'm ready to.
I
the
mean,
Hondo holiday special.
the Legend Stories part of the group that fights against Thrawn is like a coalition of smugglers, a smugglers alliance. So Hondo could definitely be part of that, maybe even lead it. Who knows?
And we still need to see Rex, modern, old Rex.
Yeah, don't know where he's up to.
Obviously, he's chilling out. Him and Wolf. Who's
Yeah.
left? Who's left of the crew?
I think just them, as far as we know. There could be more. We'll find out at the end of the Bad Batch, I guess.
Yeah, are we ever going to get the Cody resolution?
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot we're getting more Bad Batch. That is something I'm very excited for.
Yeah. But we've been going for about an hour. So, Ken, we will let you go. But before we do, just let everyone know where they can find you online, follow you, etc.
I guess the main place now is Blue Sky. Go follow me on there. Also, the YouTube channel, where I'm still doing the Force 5 with guests, where guests come on and pick out their 5 favorite Star Wars collectibles. Both of you have been on there. Wonderful time. Also do Open Chat, which is live streams where I have a guest on while I open a stack of Star Wars toys. And we just talk. Mollie has been a guest on that. Alex, hopefully in the future, will be on, and we'll have a wonderful conversation. John Hodgman's been on, Matt Fraction, Chip Zdarsky, a lot of great guests coming up for that. Those I think are the main things. And I think thank you, both of you, for having me on. Good luck on the next 4 hours of Super Chats. I hope you're prepared. And also, Mollie, I'll send you
Yay!
the Grogu planet. And this one I'll just give away on a live stream at some point.
Nice.
Because I spent far too much time on that in the middle of the night. Thank you both for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being on. I'll have to change the link in the description because I sent it to Twitter and not Blue Sky. But
Oh yeah.
No, don't send it to the bad place.
yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Ken. See ya. All right. Let's dive into some questions here.
Let's do it. No ad today.
No, not this time. We can just go straight to questions.
Let me
But if you need a break,
scroll up.
or if you want me to run down, grab a spears.
Actually, yeah, I'll go have my potty break now.
Okay. Get me whatever you have. That'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you. But I'll start going into questions. Our first one is from Jeannie from Tahini. Thank you so much. The Night Trooper gold repairs remind me of kintsugi. I think that's absolutely on purpose. The Japanese art of repairing something with gold. It reminds us to embrace our flaws. Makes me wonder what is under the Night Trooper armor. I said this earlier, but I am like so on board for the undead army, which is still a theory right now, but it's a popular one. I'm even surprised at how many people were like, "Oh yeah, those stormtroopers are undead people." I'm excited to see the fandom like just embrace that idea that we might see some crazy stuff in the coming weeks. Queersland, Australia, thanks for the next one. Enoch and the other troopers are certainly unique. Is Thrawn using Chiss designs or that of a friend? He is big on art, so I suspect something is up. Yeah, I mean, I think he's using the designs of a new friend, and I assume it's the Great Mothers and the way that they're reanimating his fallen troops. We kind of joked about it, but I wonder how many of those stormtroopers are still alive. Or we all might be way off base. They might all be perfectly fine and living stormtroopers under there, but there's something about introducing zombie stormtroopers into live action right as we enter October that feels right and fun. I'm the Stein, thank you. We've only seen one planet in this new galaxy. Do you think we'll see a whole new series of books taking place only in this galaxy? I will be shocked if we don't get an announcement of more Timothy Zahn Thrawn books, because there's a 10-year time gap here where we don't know what he's been up to, and Ezra. And Timothy Zahn at Dragon Con expressed some excitement and interest and even some potential ideas. He didn't say what those ideas were, but he said he has ideas about what could have happened during that 10-year time period. So I think he's probably just waiting on the green light to write about that 10-year gap. I think it'll happen. Outside of Thrawn, though, I don't see why we couldn't write more Star Wars stories in these other galaxies. I think that most of the story will continue to take place in the galaxy we're familiar with, because we have covered so little of that timeline. I think there's plenty to explore there, but it would excite me even to hear that we're just going to get a story set so far disconnected from everything else. Like, yeah, do it. I'm on board. Andrew Beardman, thank you for the next question. I dig the team up of Thrawn and the Witches. Covers his previous main weakness of lacking Force understanding and powers on his side. More Thrawn, please. Couldn't agree more. Like the first time we saw them, thank you, all together, I was like, this is unexpected that Thrawn is on like the home world of the Dathomiri and he's hanging out with witches and maybe a whole undead army. Like, I never would have guessed that, but it's such a cool idea that he would meet witches and, yes, want to shore up that weakness of his, that blind spot. I wonder if he thinks he has like a full understanding of the Force now, but he does know some Force stuff from his time in the Chiss Ascendancy and the Navy and stuff. So he probably knows there's more to it than just the magic side.
I figured you didn't want wine, but I got wine.
Oh, no, this is perfect. Thank you.
Because I forgot I had these spooky glasses.
Mm.
And also, Hilo is in here, and he keeps picking up stuff off the ground and trying to get me to chase him.
Well, you can let him out and back in here if you want to.
Classic Hilo.
Eloasti, thanks for the next one. I heard someone say that the Knights of Ren music plays when the bandits pop up. Is that true?
God, I hope not.
I didn't notice it, and it wouldn't really make sense. The Knights of Ren exist already at this point in the main galaxy. like they're a part of the comic series and stuff that takes place in between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So I don't think these nomads are in any way related to the Knights of Ren.
It might be similar music, but I doubt it's the same. Stuart J, thanks for the next one. The show keeps giving us the girl who cried Lothwolf moments with Sabine in the Force. I imagine she'll use it in episode 8. Thoughts? I think they gotta show her using it in some form or fashion by the finale. Like you said earlier, they've been baiting us so much. Oh, hi, Hilo.
I took the message down just so people could see his cute little face.
We took him on 2 walks today, and he just really wants us to go downstairs and get on the couch with him.
I know.
But they go on to say, speaking of loath wolves, I know the show called them howlers, but to me, our new dog friends are Dath wolves, like Dathomiri wolves.
I read it as Darth Wolves at first, but I like Dath Wolves.
Dath wolves.
Darth Wolves is cool too.
I like that the head looks like the head of a bat. I still think that it is like a bat wolf.
It's like this bat lizard thing, the really long snout. It kind of reminds me of a dinosaur head too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a really long snout with a bunch of teeth.
But I like it.
They're good boys.
I like the next question from David Canyo. What was Pippin's deal in the latest reaction vid? Mollie.
What was his deal?
What was his deal?
You can't really see it, but there's like a little...
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah, that is a stab wound from Pippin that you can see happen in the reaction. He was like doing his normal thing where he just like bops me in the head because we're not giving him attention. But he can stick his paw through the couch cushions, and he did that, and he got me good.
Just straight on stabbed you. But also, Night Troopers are 100% zombie or magic infused Chimera crew. Write that down somewhere. I'm doing a video on it, so I will write that down.
I want Thrawn to go full on like Return of the King Ghost Army with I think that'll be more what's in the catacombs, but I also want to think that the Night Troopers are zombie troopers. They might not be, and that's okay.
I wonder if he's going to continue his partnership with the Night Sisters, or if they're going to kind of part ways after they get back to the galaxy. I wonder what the full extent of their deal is. I
think Thrawn's leaving that up for discussion. Like once he gets back, he's got to get a better feel for the politics side of things now that the Empire is gone, and then see what the Night Sisters plan to do, because like he hates the Jedi, and the Jedi and the Force have always been the thing that messes up his plans. But now that he hates
the Jedi, I
think he does now.
He probably has a grudge against them. He's probably just like annoyed that Ezra has beaten him a couple times, and Kanan. But I don't think he hates. Hate is a strong word.
Yeah, I think he's using the Night Sisters, and they are using him for mutual advantages. I don't necessarily think they're super loyal to each other.
Right.
So it all depends on what happens when they get back to this other galaxy. And I'm sure Thrawn is like, I mean, Night Sister magic is a pretty good thing to have, like, as part of someone on your side. So for now, I think he'll entertain the idea of sticking with them.
I'm curious to see what they do with whatever was in the catacombs. Like, this could be part of a replacement for, in Legends, he starts a new clone army, and that's kind of a big plot point of the original Thrawn trilogy. I wonder if instead of doing clones again, they're going to go with like, well, why don't we just reanimate every dead stormtrooper?
Look, I'm a spooky girly. I am 100% down for that idea. Ike Retsom, Thrawn's men are all held together with literal rags, yet his ISB uniform looks brand new. I get the feeling he's hardly left the Chimera unless needed, or unless entering the Nightsister Temple. I think safe to say he's probably stayed on the ship this whole time, but again, I'm hoping he has a pair of sweatpants somewhere. Because there's no way he could have kept that uniform that white.
He's got his sweatpants and his tank top that he works out and fights DT sentry droids with. So
do we think he's been working out?
I look, it's been a long 10 years. He's been through a lot.
I know. I'm not saying he. I've seen some arguments online on and I don't want to body shame anyone, but he's an older gentleman at this point. I'm
just saying he has the comfortable clothes.
Yeah, he has them.
Yeah.
But it's not working out in them.
But yeah, I think that he probably has just been staying on the ship and leading from there. I don't think he's been going out and fighting the nomads. Jeannie from Tahini, thank you for the next one. I felt that Peridia had real Brian Froud or even Jim Henson Creature Shop vibes. Think Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, etc. And I loved it. I agree. I also thought of the Dark Crystal with that.
Yeah. I thought it felt very Dune. Like the Great Mothers felt like what are they called?
Oh, the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah. Like the outfits felt very similar. And then that stone dungeon room that they threw Sabine into felt very Dune to me.
Yeah, the whole planet, like, not obviously it's not Tatooine. I forget what planet they're on at the start. That House Atreides has at the beginning, but that all kind of felt similar.
Yeah, but I also agree. Like Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, especially for all the creatures, like the little crab people,
the howlers, all of that. Yeah.
Neil Adamson, thanks for the next 3, I think. Yeah, okay, I see the next 3. Going to a new galaxy is the best thing Lucasfilm under Disney has done for the franchise. Everything was so new and unknown and exciting. We even got hero's journey tropes done beautifully. It felt like watching A New Hope for the first time, and that's not even mentioning everything else. Thrawn was perfect. Dathomiri, Captain Enoch. Ezra was perfect. What's Balen's sense? What is Thrawn transporting? Yeah.
That's how I felt writing my review. I was like,
just
this
so many
episode,
questions.
I felt like Bill Hader's character, Stefan, where I was like, this episode had everything. Spooky witches, undead stormtroopers, Ezra. Like, I just kept listing all these cool things that were happening. But then at the end, I was like, and now I have a list of questions I would like answered. And yeah, like they keep teasing this thing that Balen is after, but we still don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah. Is Enoch a captain? I missed his rank.
Thrawn called him captain of his guard. So
okay, gotcha.
I guess that counts as captain.
We'll count it.
And I assume Thrawn is transporting a bunch of dead Nightsisters who can't wait to become undead Nightsisters.
Let's make it happen.
Tully Quinn, thanks for the next one. I like this. What can Thrawn do with just one Star Destroyer? I think that is exactly the question Dave Filoni wants you to be asking yourself. Like, it's just one dude in one busted up ship. How dangerous could he be? And that's my hope, is that episode 8 will finally show Thrawn in action and that he's just going to easily handle those 3 New Republic ships. And they're going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be like, it's just one busted up Star Destroyer. We can handle this. And they cannot. They will not be able to handle it.
Yeah, like you said earlier, Thrawn's superpower is just being really awesome in battle and smart and knows a lot about art. So let's see him do some battle damage. Jane, what's up? Thanks for the super chat. Do you think Sabine is going to be better at using the Force the way Nightsisters do, and she can learn it while in this other galaxy? She may have been picking up their signals in episode 1 like Morgan did.
If she uses the Force, well, like, I think it's possible, but my understanding of, the witchcraft side of the Force is that there's still spells and stuff to it that I would think it would be even harder to learn to wield Night Sister magic or harder to wield that than it would just the Force normally as a Jedi would. So I think that she's gonna just use the Force.
Yeah, I don't know that she's necessarily getting a better feel for it in the other galaxy. She's just blocking, unknowingly blocking her way to being able to use the Force, but she's getting there.
Yeah, so I don't really see her using magic by the end of this.
That would be crazy. Jedi, Mandalorian, and Night Sister? That's too many.
That's too many things. Tim Sim, thank you for the next one.
Oops.
You know that you can't introduce Thrawn without the organ, and when that played, wow, some who I know haven't seen Rebels were confused about how terrifying Thrawn should be. How scared should we be? And that's exactly why Episode 8 needs to have that moment where the New Republic underestimates him, and the audience who hasn't read about Thrawn for 30 years or hasn't watched him in Star Wars Rebels, where even that was kind of like a watered down version of Thrawn. They still got the essence of the character right, but it was in an animated show. Like, I think here they're going to have a chance to really show Thrawn be a terrifying military commander.
Yeah, we have to acknowledge the fact that this throughout the whole show so far, Ahsoka has been like, at any cost, we have to keep Thrawn from returning. Like, I will destroy this map. I will risk not being able to get Ezra back if it means we can keep Thrawn from coming back. So they got to show the audience why.
Yeah, we just keep talking about why Thrawn is a big... Everyone mentions his name and they're scared about it, but it's not enough. The audience, especially who hasn't known him before, they need to see it.
Rainer Bless, when the Nightsisters said it reeks of Jedi, could they have referred to Balen's skull as well? Maybe Balen hasn't given up the Jedi completely yet. I thought about this. Maybe they were just getting an overall Jedi reek from all of them, but I think it was meant to be mostly Sabine.
Yeah, I mean, they tie her up. They don't seem concerned about Balen or Shin at all. I think they were talking about Sabine and only her.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that Balen has given up on the Jedi.
Yeah. I did love that moment where Thrawn realizes that Balen used to be a Jedi and he's immediately like, ugh, get out. He's flawed, get out.
He seemed fine with Balen. Although I think he's fine with them, but happy to leave them behind.
If he had kept Balen around, Balen could have been the one to tell him all about all of his questions on Ahsoka.
That's true. But I do kind of wonder if he was like, okay, now go hunt down Sabine and Ezra just to get rid of them. Stuart J, thanks for the next question. I'm glad they showed Ezra in this episode, so we don't have a week of people saying Enoch is Ezra, turn to Thrawn's side. Yeah, we did dodge a bullet there, I think.
That was, I gotta be honest, that was one of my first thoughts when they showed him and his like special little mask. I was like, uh-oh, is that supposed to be Ezra? And then I quickly was like, nah, I don't think so.
I think the only reason I didn't even entertain that idea is because I knew about Wes Chatham being cast, and I knew that he was supposed to be some member of Thrawn's group, and so I immediately was like, "Oh, there's Wes."
Was that a rumor, or was that confirmed?
I think it was in the Hollywood Reporter or something.
Mm.
One of those that they show up, and I'm like, okay, that's probably true.
You always talk about not looking at rumors, so unless it's one of your favorite actors from The Expanse.
Excuse me. That actually probably came up on the Expanse subreddit more than anything else.
Reddit is a dangerous place. Dark Car, I wish StreamYard would show the super stickers, but we appreciate them every time you send them. Thank you so much. Cindy K has the next one. What an episode. Wasn't expecting Ezra this soon, and I flipped out completely when the camera panned and we could see him in the background. Can't wait to see him with Ahsoka, Huyang, and the Purrgil. Same. Yeah. I think so far, what's that actor's name?
Iman Esfandi. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but
so far he is doing an excellent job, and I am excited to see what he does from here. Like, I don't really know what Ezra's purpose is going to be going forward, but I'm sure Dave has a plan.
It's easy to write this off just because it's like a mythology and it's just supposed to be fun and stuff. But if I were Ezra, I would not have played it as cool as he did. I would have like run over to Sabine and be like, "Thank God you're here." Like, I think I would be in a much worse condition.
I guess it would have been more Ezra if he had freaked out a little more. But he was trying to play it cool because it's Sabine.
Well, like, good for him for winding up on this planet and making a new little family for himself, a new group of rebels that he could help and hang out with. So he did not go completely insane. I think I would have lost my mind.
Mm. Also, Jill just got in the chat and they're talking about the beard. It's not that I hated his beard. I just hope that he trims it or gets rid of it. He will look more like Ezra without it.
It's been 10 years. Let him grow a beard.
You look at who I'm married to, and you look at who Jill is marrying, and you understand the beard bias.
Yeah, it's fine. I think he looks good. The beard suits him. Neil, thank you for another super chat. 3 rotations sounds like it could take us through episode 8. I've said for weeks that I would love for most of Ahsoka's story and the movie, though that's a long shot, to take place here. Yeah, I think the movie is going to be where the New Republic is. I don't think it's going to involve Peridia. But I think that, like Cetos, this is going to be our headquarters for the next few episodes. I think Thrawn is going to go home first, but Ahsoka and the others probably won't get back to the main galaxy until episode 8.
Oh, yeah. I don't want there to be too much time that passes with Thrawn already back at the other universe, but enough time that he can do some damage and the New Republic senators are like, uh-oh.
Yeah. It does seem a little bit like, okay, the hyperdrive ring escapes Cetos, and then they ride the whale back, or they follow them in the whale an episode later or so. And then it might do the same thing where it's like, okay, the Chimera gets in the hyperdrive ring, and then they ride a whale back home an episode or 2 later. So I don't want it to be the same exact structure, but we'll see.
I kind of hope the little crab people do something cool to help them.
That'd be fun.
They're going to be sad when Ezra leaves.
Maybe Ezra is going to bring him along for the ride.
Maybe they can come too.
Yeah.
What's up, Maddie? Thanks for the super chat. Lil Nody. Is it Lil Nody or Lil Naughty?
I don't know.
I can't remember how they were saying it.
They didn't say it. It was just in subtitles, I think.
It does sound like a rapper name.
Kurlija, thank you for the next super chat. Hey all, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to say that I adored this episode. Naming the mothers after the Moirai/Fates was also a really cool touch. I was looking through just Greek mythology, and I had already made the connection that they were probably the Fates, and then as I looked up the Fates names in Greek mythology, I was like, oh, I wonder if they were listed in the credits. And so I went to the end credits. I was like, oh my god, they're the same names.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
That
They're not letter for letter the same, but it's close.
Oh, okay. I thought they were letter for letter, but I was like, because then I was like, they got to Star Wars it up a little bit. They can't just use the same exact names. But
They did Star Wars it up. They spelled it differently and stuff, but
all right,
I thought it was fun.
I'll accept it.
I'll allow it.
Draco Iris, thanks for the next super chat. Anyone else want to know if there's something more to why Ezra seems to only care about going home right now? Should he not be a little concerned about what Thrawn is up to and want to stop him from leaving?
Well, I don't think Ezra knows that there's a chance for Thrawn to go home right now.
Yeah, Sabine has not even mentioned the giant hyperspace ring that also came there with her. Like, there's a lot that he's probably going to find out in the next episode and be like, wait, what?
Right. I think that as far as he is understanding right now, Sabine showed up secretly and alone to get him. And he's like, and then we'll just leave Thrawn here and everything will be great. But obviously that's not the case. So he'll have to grapple with that next week. But
Yeah.
Dean the Machine, thanks for another question. Convo, you'd rather see Luthen Rail and Thrawn or Edie Karn and Chief Palpatine? Bonus, better wingman hugger, Chewie or Brasso?
Oh.
I
So
mean,
would we rather see Luthen v. Thrawn or Edie v. Palpatine? I want to see Edie tear Sheev apart, like verbally.
yeah, but like she would do it in the way that she does to Cyril Karn, where Palpatine would be like, is she insulting me? Like, it would be so passive aggressive that even Sheev would be taken aback.
Yeah, Edie would just be tearing him down left and right, like pointing out his flaws and like, well, yeah, you sure did have plans for everything, but what about this and this and this? And you just look terrible.
Palpatine, why do you walk like this? What
Stand
do you
up
think that?
straight.
Yeah, what do
You're
you
gonna
think
get a
that
hump.
says about you? You're making a first impression, Palpatine.
I'm calling Uncle Harlow. He's like, no.
Hey, here's your cereal.
So yeah, definitely Edie. I think I'm still Team Thrawn over Luthen.
No, that'd be a conversation between the two of them, which would be Luthen, Stellan Skarsgård, and Lars Mikkelsen on screen together would be a treat. But I don't think Luthen is gonna live that long.
And as much as I want to say Brasso, I think Chewie probably gives better hugs.
Chewie's taller and he's fuzzy. Like, if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Chewie.
I might. Depends on what day it is and what kind of mood I'm in. Like, if it's hot outside, maybe I don't want a hug from Chewie.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm not turning down hugs from either of them.
Exactly, yeah.
Miranda here. Thank you for the next super chat. All these characters and their arcs are perfect. Loved how Talzani, the mother's voices
I like
were.
that adjective.
Talzani. What plot threads do you think won't be resolved until the movie or even left dangling beyond the 9 ABY Mandoverse?
I think we're going to get answers about Balen and Shin and what... I think everything on Peridia will be resolved. We might not get the full story of like what's in the Nightsister catacombs that Thrawn is helping transport home. I don't think we're going to learn everything about their partnership at this point in time. I think that'll keep on continuing through the movie.
Yeah. I hope we figure out ultimately what Balin's goal is by the end of the season. Because if not, that would be kind of frustrating.
I'm considering that as part of Peridia, since he's like, can't you sense it out there? I think they'll find that in the next episode or two.
I guess the only thing that I think might be left story-wise is Jason and like, will he be trained? Who's going to train him? That stuff won't happen for a while.
He could be a Boken Jedi, trained in the wild and not as part of Luke's academy.
I remember there was another super chat. Where was it? That specifically pointed out Boken Jedi. Or did you already read it?
I don't think I did. I
found it.
634, yeah.
10 Man, yeah. So Boken, that's the word for training saber or training.
In the real world, yeah, it's a wooden training sword like they use in part 3 of the series. As far as I know, this is the first mention of a Boken Jedi. I don't know exactly what Balen means by it. Like, I kind of wonder if he's calling it a cheap imitation Jedi almost.
Oh.
Like, I mean, it's not a full lightsaber, it's just a Boken.
Mm-hmm.
I got the sense that maybe he was saying it dismissively.
I like that. Yeah, a homeschooled Jedi.
And right below that, Miranda here also asked if Boken means wooden training sword in Japanese Kendo martial arts. Are Boken Jedi a new concept? I again think this was the first mention of the term.
Mm-hmm.
John Booz has the next one. Thank you. Loved the episode. However, how did the Jiminy Crickets hide Ezra from someone like Thrawn?
Is that what we're calling the little crab people?
Yeah. They had little hobbit clothes on. They did look kind of like Jiminy Cricket.
They were very cute. I don't think they were See, I brought this up earlier because like I don't think they were actively hiding Ezra, and Thrawn wasn't actively seeking him out. I think they just kind of went their separate ways and just hate each other so much that he's like, I don't care if you live or die, just get out of my ship.
That's another thing, another story thread that I'm like, I don't know if we're going to learn everything about their relationship. I get the sense that Thrawn has been keeping tabs on Ezra. I mean, he straight up tells Sabine, here's the last known location that we have for him.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it sound like it was a long time ago, but she does find him. So I think he's probably keeping an eye on his Jedi enemy, and maybe Ezra and the Noti are occasionally fighting back against Thrawn, or maybe they're just fighting and surviving against the Nomads.
They did remind me of the Harfoots.
Yeah. They just pack up and move, and they keep on migrating.
Cute. Another super chat from Miranda here. I think the entire army are undead. Do you think with all of this talk of going back to the beginning that Balen wants to use the World Between Worlds to go back to 25,000 BBY, try to undo everything? Why would he undo everything?
Because he, like you said, he's got a god complex, and he's like, I can do this, but better. So maybe he's like, I can redo all of history, but better.
So maybe he wants to restart the Jedi history from day one.
Maybe. I do still think there's a chance that he could be after the World Between Worlds. Like, he might be seeking Ezra for that purpose. Or after this episode, the way he was like, there's something out there. There's something that the Nightsisters are afraid of. I don't know. I don't know what he's after now, but I'm a little scared to find out, but in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah. Darth Patty, thank you for the next one. I'm really loving the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi used for the Night Troopers look. Yeah, it was a really unique design. I like it not just on the troopers, but also the Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like been cobbled together with that gold stuff.
A lot of it too.
Yeah.
Like it was in really rough shape before they patched it up.
I was glad to see plenty of like Purrgil battle damage.
Yeah. Good for the Purrgil. And Logan S., thanks for being a Biggs Mega Fans member for 5 months. Last episode, I believe the first Clone Wars vision shows 2 battles, the Battle of Teth and the Battle of Ryloth. May the Force be with you, Rebels.
I kind of think that that's true. I saw, I think IO9 wrote an article suggesting the same thing. And the purple tint does seem like Teth. You can also see kind of some trees off to the side. And then through an explosion, it kind of fades into a different color palette. So I could see that. The fact that she did call it like, this is one of our first missions. It's like Teth would make sense there.
Yeah.
Matthew Byron, thank you for another one. The way he spoke to Morgan Elsbeth reminds me of how he addressed Governor Price in Rebels. She's definitely in store for her Faustian bargain. Yeah, like a tenuous alliance. He'll use her while he needs her. That's again, I am curious to see how long he allies himself with the Nightsisters.
Well, also the way he spoke to Morgan when they were like, another Jedi's coming. He was like, oh, you mean the supposedly dead Ahsoka is coming? And he blamed Morgan for it.
Yeah. This whole season, not everything has been rosy between all of the bad guys. I feel like Balen and Shin have had a pretty good relationship, and it might be starting to crack, but Shin and Morgan, they were kind of jabbing at each other. Now we're seeing Thrawn jab at Morgan a little bit.
Elo Asti has the next one. Thrawn was defeated by the Force 2 major times. Now he's relying on heavy intel from supernatural witches. Maybe his doom will be over relying on them. He could.
I don't think so.
It's his doom is just over relying on his own abilities, I think. Like he just thinks he can come right back into the universe or to this galaxy and take his rightful place, and I think it's going to be a lot harder than he expects.
I think that you're on the right track there with his doom. Is his overconfidence is kind of his weakness, like the Emperor, that he just thinks he knows everything and has considered every possible outcome. I don't want to talk too much about what happens in Legends and how that story ends, because I think there's a lot of the building blocks for it to happen again. And now I'm like, even though it's a 30-year-old story, still feels a bit like spoilers, but I think that there's still room for that story to play out. But I'm glad to see him getting rid of that blind spot and learning more about the Force. But I think he will know enough to use it as a tool and not as a replacement for his tactical mind. Christopher Killian, thank you for the next one. Not going to lie, disappointed in the way Ezra was revealed. He seems rather the same after 10 years. I thought he'd be a whole different person. What do you think? I kind of was joking about that a second ago, that if it were me, I would be a completely different person. I would have lost my mind. But I think that this is Star Wars, and they could have gone that route, but also it is kind of like, even though time has passed, time doesn't mean as much in Star Wars as it does in the real world.
Yeah, I think if this season had like 15 or 16 episodes, we might have seen a little bit of a crazier, more scatterbrained Ezra, but they got to get a
really good point.
They got to get past that and to the point, and they got to get him back with the crew, back in the other universe. Like we don't have time for it.
I think that's a great point. We've been talking about this as Rebels season 5 so often, but the fact that it's a third or half of the episodes as even its shorter seasons for Star Wars Rebels it would have been nice to be able to maybe deal with that a little more, but because it's only 8 episodes, they just have to really move it along.
Mm-hmm.
Which I do kind of miss having. When we watched all of Rebels, I was like, this is fun being able to go on these little side adventures here or there and spend more time with these characters.
Yeah.
And digging into stuff like that.
Yeah, it's why I think I enjoyed Rebels more than I can enjoy a season of Filoni's live action shows. It's just like I need more context for stuff. I want silly one-off episodes. I want to be able to roll around in the story a little bit more, but we just don't have time for it.
I like
Or
this take
money
from Wind. I think Ezra's send-off was his moment of full realization as a Jedi, so I actually expected him to be of sound mind after 10 years.
Yeah. That makes sense too.
Yeah, I like that.
000 Tragic Solitude has the next super chat. Did you also chant Thrawn with the troopers? I'm not sure if the Chimera was around Peridia already or if it came back from exploring somewhere else in this galaxy. Also, Enoch is a chill guy.
I did like his line of "die well." That seemed like a good luck out there.
Yeah. He was like, "You're gonna die, but maybe try to do it honorably. Anyways, here are your weapons.
Do it in a cool way."
The chanting was interesting. Just Thrawn, 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 Thrawn. That's got to get old.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to just show how fanatic his troopers are and the fact that they do respect him, which that might be walked back a bit if we find out that they're all magically undead. But was the Chimera around Peridia already, or did it come back from exploring somewhere else?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
You'd think that he would have taken the ship out once it was finished with its repairs and did some exploring, but it also looked like it was missing some engines.
Right.
So maybe
its 3 primary sublight engines were out. And I assume it doesn't have a hyperdrive. So it depends on how close the next planet is. But he's been there for 10 years, so if he was like, "Hey, we're going to spend 4 years going there," and then they get over there and they're like, "Ah, nothing here. Let's go back."
It's nothing.
The real
code... they don't have any fuel too. They have limited amounts of fuel. That's a good point.
The real Code Black, thanks for the next question. With the villainous Nightsisters as antagonists in the New Republic era, might we see heroic Nightsisters represented to face them like Merrin or others?
Well, I think we're to assume that there are barely any left. So I don't know if there's enough to have a heroic side. I don't think we'll get Merrin in this show.
I'm not expecting it. Certainly not in this season. Like building up to the New Republic movie. Maybe.
That would be cool if they brought her in as like not an informant, but like someone who knows Nightsister lore and magic and stuff.
I'm not expecting that to happen. It would be sick, but the Nightsisters are largely wiped out. So I think the great mothers here and whatever they're bringing home from the catacombs, I think that will be most of the Nightsister representation we see.
Mm-hmm. Zombie ghost army. Logan S. Thanks for the next one. Ezra forming a local rebel cell was perfect. Yeah, they had their little rebel insignia necklaces on. That was so cute.
Ezra probably just spends all day carving them.
Good for him.
But that was a fun moment of them recognizing Sabine's shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Dean the Machine, thank you for the next one. Credit to Sabine for handling from everything she's aware of Ahsoka dying to Balen pretty damn well. That's true. I kind of forgot about that. The fact that she thinks Ahsoka is just straight up dead.
Or, I mean, did they talk about her being dead in front of her?
I mean, she saw Ahsoka get knocked off that cliff.
Yeah, but what does that ever mean for a Jedi?
We know that. The audience knows that, but
I think maybe Sabine was being blindly hopeful that somehow she survived that.
I think she probably thought Ahsoka was dead. I think that her scream when she saw that happen, I think she's under the assumption that Ahsoka died.
Well, then she's got nothing else literally holding her together. It's just like, I have to find Ezra now.
Finding Ezra, like, that was a big win.
And assuming she lost her whole family already, she's probably used to it by now, which is sad.
Gemma Cleary, thank you for the next question. Do you think Thrawn just forgot Anakin was Ahsoka's master, even though even though he learned it from Padme and Thrawn alliances, or do you think it's a retcon? It's been 10 years. He forgot.
Yeah, he forgot.
Yeah, he's allowed to forget things.
Also, the audience needs to be reminded / told.
There's a whole off-screen scene where he's going to get the dossier and he's like, oh, right, yeah, Anakin. And then he's going to be like, I wonder how... He also knows Darth Vader is Anakin, so I wonder if he knows Darth Vader's dead. I wonder how Vader's doing.
How is the old big guy?
I assume he knows that Vader and Palpatine and all, like, they're all gone, thanks to the witches.
The threat of fate told him.
But it's also just like a dramatic moment of him being like, tell me everything about her. And he just starts listing off everything he can think of. Like, that doesn't have to necessarily mean he forgot. It could just be him, like, literally, tell me everything you know.
He's a Grand Admiral. He gets handed notes on occasion to remind him stuff.
Yeah.
Alexander, thanks for the next super chat. Hi, Alex. I like your name. Pretty sure Dave took inspiration from the Japanese art form of kintsugi, which is basically repairing broken pottery with powdered gold for Thrawn's undead army. Yes.
Yep. Agreed.
Which was first done in The Last Jedi.
Rise of Skywalker.
Sorry, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Let me get the movie right. So we've seen that already in Star Wars, but I'm psyched to see it again.
And I like your name too. Scotty Heron, thank you for the next 2 here. First thought seeing Ezra. Oh God, he's hot. I think I'm in the minority. My first thought when I saw the troopers was this was Thrawn allowing his troops some individuality out of necessity. That's possible. I mean, I think there could be an element of, Star Wars fans seeing something and immediately jumping to an extreme conclusion. We've all done it before. I think that they are undead, but if it's just them putting a little pizzazz on their armor, that's fine.
I feel like Thrawn is not really the type to encourage individuality in his troopers, but I could be wrong. It could be growing soft in his old age.
And just the fact that they're stuck out there and to keep morale up, he could be a little more lax on the rules.
I figured it was just because they were barely hobbled together.
Yeah.
After what happened,
it could have started. The armor broke, and then they just had to start repairing it. It could be as simple as that.
Oh, Dana Maniac 66. Did I say that right? Thank you for the next super chat. I'm a big fan of Shin's continued distrust of witches. Do you think she's being pulled to the light the more in over her head she gets? I do think her confidence in what Balen is doing is cracking. I think she immediately perked up when she heard about how Ezra was trained as a Jedi in the wild and was just like, oh, that sounds like what happened to me. And Balen was like, no, you're something greater than that. And I do feel like her loyalty to Balen is going to sway soon.
Yeah. I wonder how much of a grasp she has on the Force and the light side and the dark side, or if she just takes orders from Balen and that's it. So I don't know if she would know that she's feeling like a pull to the light side. She might be feeling her conscience start to pull her in a direction, which would be that. But I do think that she will swap sides by the end, or at least I'm hoping for it, because
Yeah.
I don't want this to be like her only appearance.
Mm-hmm. I know there's a lot of Shin supporters out there, and I am one of them.
I'll jump off of this just because it's relevant, but not sure how anyone suspects Shin will turn to the light side. She's miles from the light from what I've seen. So was Darth Vader until the moment he picked up Palpatine and threw him over into a pit. Like,
I mean, I feel like Anakin was teetering on dark side tendencies all throughout his training. Like, he lost his cool so many times.
well, I'm talking about Vader.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
He was okay. Just saying,
but
he was so far from the light.
She's young, and like she hasn't had the full Jedi training on like how to have a sound mind, and so she is kind of like a rabid dog at this point. But I think some of her curiosity is peeking through of like
And
what the other side is like.
yeah, I just don't think she's had a full education. She's very sheltered. What someone talked about Boken Jedi being homeschooled Jedi. Like, Shin is just, she only knows what Balen tells her. And I think that as she learns more and sees where he's headed, that she might be like, I don't want any part of this. And I think could very quickly swap. Like, I don't think she's gonna be like, I'm gonna go join the light side. I think she's just gonna realize this is not for me and it's wrong, and I'm gonna go over here and be with those people.
Yeah. She's probably going to be like, I don't want to live on this dusty old planet with you. Just with you and the crab people and no one else, and the bandits.
Lord Hosk, thanks for the next theory here. Enoch dead, Sabayoth dead. Enoch is Joris confirmed.
Oh no.
That's a wild theory for sure.
I do think maybe sometimes they take names of characters like Joris Sabayoth and just jumble up all the letters and create other names out of them.
I mean, Joris Sabayoth has most of the letters in it already. It's such an unnecessarily long and confusing name that Timothy Zahn still loves to do. Give
Tim
the
loves
apostrophes
his apostrophes. Miranda here, thank you for the next 2 super chats. Can we talk about how the Howler is the perfect combo of horse and good boy and so on point for Filoni? The other Howlers remind me of the wargs in Lord of the Rings. Hey, me too. I also think Night Troopers are a replacement for the Legends Death Troopers as opposed to canon Death Troopers, plus Nightsister magic.
Yeah, I think this might be, if our wild theories are right, this could be our way of getting to the zombie stormtroopers just in time for Halloween. Perfect
Put it
timing.
into the universe. Spooky season.
Put that on my vision board.
I need
that book is a mess a little bit. Like the first half of it's great. The second half kind of kills some of the spooky tension for me. But I went through a big old zombie period of my life where I just loved zombie movies, and I loved that book.
I just realized we're probably going to get Night Trooper Funko Pops.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Like,
as if I need any more Trooper variant Funko Pops. But
Hasbro was already like, oh, all we have to do is put some red and gold paint on these.
Yeah,
like easy.
I hope Enoch gets a special one though.
Yeah. Jack Grinnan, thank you for the next one. Will Ezra be mad at Sabine when or if he learns what she did in order to come and find him? Because in a way, she basically undid his sacrifice. We talked about this a bit while Ken was on. I don't think that it fully undoes his sacrifice. Yes, he removed Thrawn from the galaxy, and Thrawn will be going back. But I think that Ezra removing Thrawn when he did was a big improvement for the Rebel Alliance. Like, they might not have won if Thrawn were still around.
Mhm.
So I still think that his sacrifice was worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, over the 10 years that Thrawn's been gone, the New Republic has flourished and they've gotten a lot of good stuff done. So none of that would have happened had he not made that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sabine was just following her heart and wanting so badly to get Ezra back that she didn't care if Thrawn returned, and she probably thought, he doesn't have a chance in hell anyways.
I do think that there still could be some upset feelings coming from Ezra when he finds out, but I don't think it'll amount to too much. I don't think he's gonna be mad that he's getting rescued at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, and we've seen in Rebels too that Ezra has done a lot of pulled a lot of stupid stunts and followed his heart plenty of times, so he can't fault her too much.
Yeah.
Jared Kozal, thank you for the next one. If Ahsoka the White is our Gandalf figure, I think this episode reinforced Balen as Saruman, a fallen mage seeking a dark power he is unlikely to control, and Thrawn now seems to be our Witch King. Oh, I don't want to put Thrawn in like Witch King status because he's not a Nightsister, and I don't like the idea of him being like the leader of the Nightsisters.
You were already hoping for the Witch Queen to show up, like a Nightsister version of the Witch King of Angmar.
I want those 3 mothers to like use their magic and
do like a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger
morph into one giant Witch Queen warrior. And if it happens to look like the Witch King of Angmar, then great, because he looks cool.
I do think Balen as Saruman works. Thrawn, I don't know if he fits into the Lord of the Rings mythos as much, because he's much more just part of the military side of Star Wars. I'm trying to think of someone else that he could be. But I don't think everything...
You know Lord of the Rings lore better than me. So.
I don't think everything has a one-to-one Lord of the Rings translation here. Okay, I like this one, Miranda, here. Adar from the Rings of Power. He was kind of like the first
like
orc,
fallen...
which I don't see him in that way. I don't see Thrawn as a fallen orc, but just a leader of this weird, potentially undead army.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's for sure no lack of Lord of the Rings references in this show. So.
Yeah. S. Shaw, thank you for the next one. Because Purrgil go there to die, I assume that's why Ezra couldn't get back and may be an obstacle for the crew once Ahsoka gets there. Well, I don't think Ezra had a ship that he could easily get onto a Purrgil either. Like Morgan says, the Nightsisters were the first people to harness and ride Purrgil, but I don't think they were sitting on their backs riding through hyperspace. That seems like a good way to die.
Yeah,
a cool way to die. It would be dying well, but
they could have used some like Nightsister magic to shield themselves, but like because it makes me think of that sequence of Jedi Survivor when Cal is like going through all her portals that she makes, Marin's. So like if they can survive going through all those witch magic, Nightsister magic portals, they might be able to survive that.
I could see that, like a little vacuum sealed magic bubble.
She came down in a bubble.
She came down in a bubble, bro. You're gonna look at me and tell me I'm wrong?
I saw that someone posted that video, and it was like me trying to explain Nightsisters to a non-Star Wars fan.
Ice, thank you for the next one. This one was an absolute trip. It was literally everything. We got Thrawn, Nightsisters, the Chimera, and Ezra. This show continues to blow me away. It's another Stefan moment from SNL. This show has everything.
Now we just need the new club of Peridia.
Yeah. That would be the name of the club, and then it has Thrawn, Nightsisters, the Chimera, Ezra, spooky ghosts,
Tiny crab people.
crab people.
Guess is that Thrawn will leave the galaxy, leaving Balen, Shin, Ahsoka, and company stranded. They fight and eventually use the world between worlds to travel back. That would be interesting if Ahsoka is like, look, this has happened to me a couple of times now, and I know Ezra, you know about this. Let's put our heads together and figure out how to get off this planet.
I do hope that they get back in a different way. I don't want it to just be Purgil chasing the hyperdrive ring again. So World Between Worlds would be interesting, and they did already introduce it. So to bring it back, but they didn't introduce the whole portal aspect of it. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that would be confusing to people, but I'd be up for it.
Because we've seen like the what are they called? The Loth Wolves. We saw them take the Rebels crew somehow from one end of a planet to another, just on their backs. And so I'm wondering if there's a way for maybe there's animals on this planet, or just
Maybe the Howlers can do it.
maybe the Howlers can, maybe the crab people can do it, and they just haven't told Ezra this whole time. They're like, oh,
They're like, well, you never
portals.
asked.
Yeah. Something like that. It doesn't have to be like an actual World Between Worlds portal opening, but I think they can figure something out. But I also wouldn't be opposed to just using the Purgil again.
Sweet Feet Pete, thank you for the next one. Hey guys, been a long time. I don't know where Star Wars gets off having Thrawn enter that hard. Where do you get off?
It's true. Alex shushed me during our reaction because he was coming in so hot.
I needed complete silence while I watched Thrawn walk into the room, please. I need to hear that organ playing.
Did you see the Kiner's tweet where it was just someone hitting a key on the keyboard and it was playing that organ music?
No, I did not, but that's funny. All I saw was them tweeting, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
Because Star Wars tweeted, like, can we all thank the Kiners real quick?
Does Hilo need something?
He just wants a TREAT.
Oh.
We took him for a WALK right before the show. He should be fine. He's just antsy and wants a little snack. And he keeps putting his face in my lap.
Do you want me to give him? Well, if I give him something
and he's going to bring it in here and throw it around. He'll be fine.
These mics are pretty good at not picking that stuff.
He'll be fine.
Okay. I would spoil my howler, obviously.
Draco Eris.
Go ahead.
Thanks for the next one. I'd love to see what Timothy Zahn would do if given the chance to fill in that 10-year gap after the Rebels finale to now. I would too. He says he has ideas. I think he's going to get his chance eventually. I don't know when. I won't be surprised if we get an announcement after the season is over.
I bet Timothy Zahn and Filoni butt heads, but also like could get along potentially.
I think Timothy Zahn, just from my interactions with him, interviewing him at Dragon Con and stuff, he seems to just really understand working in the Star Wars IP, and the fact that even if he invents a character, it's not fully his, which like I do wish that he had more involvement than he did in Star Wars Rebels. I don't think he has a ton of involvement here, even though they have apparently spoken about Thrawn and everything. But he has suggested that basically he is waiting for the green light, and that might not happen until Filoni is done with him. So,
yeah.
But I think it'll happen. And Tim said something like, I've got a lot of ideas depending on what they do or don't do in the show. So I think he is not lacking for story ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like as soon as Timothy Zahn gave the go ahead for
I did not know this, but good. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
I assumed that. As soon as he gave the go-ahead for them to use Thrawn in something like Rebels and for a show like this, he knows that, like, this is all up to Dave now, and I don't think he harbors any bad feelings for the direction they took him.
Timothy Zahn has always been really cool and chill to talk to, asking about like the shift from Legends to canon. He's like, just, it never bothered him.
He's like, I created Thrawn, and then I was like, I'm a superstar now, so I can do no wrong.
That's still one of my favorite things was from Star Wars Celebration 2017 was going to the 501st party and seeing him get treated like a rock star up on stage. He was like throwing candy out into the crowd, and everyone's like, damn.
I think that was right before Weird Al went up. And
he basically opened for Weird Al.
He was the opener for Weird Al, and I've never seen anything cooler. He was just having the time of his life up there. I stopped him on his way out of the room and took a picture with him and just like gave him a high five. And he was like, oh, okay. Deirdre Russell, what's up? Thanks for being a member of the Biggs Mega Fans for 9 months. Where is Eli Vanto at this moment?
I assume he's in the Chiss Ascendancy, and he's probably wondering where Thrawn is at this moment. But we haven't seen Eli in 10 years either. So he is, I assume, just still out with Admiral Aralani, hanging out, fighting the Grisk, maybe.
Yeah. I think he's probably just like, I got my own problems. I can't be around Thrawn to help him all the time.
I bet he misses his best friend. They were great together. I'd love to see them again on screen, but I don't think Eli is around right now. Darth Nicholas, thanks for the next 2. Is it just me, or did Thrawn look so much better in this episode than he did in the trailer? Props to the makeup department for not only nailing Thrawn, but also the Nightsisters. This episode just proves that Lars Mikkelsen was not only born to voice Thrawn, but he was born to play him in live action as well. I'm so glad that they stuck with Lars, because the voice is such a big part of Thrawn, which is weird to say. Like, for a while, we just read what he had to say, but then Star Wars Rebels, that voice was just instantly iconic, and I'm glad that they prioritized that.
I mean, we got the audiobooks.
Yeah.
Which gave us a little taste.
But they based that voice off of Lars's version of the voice.
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he looked pretty good. I'll just keep it with that.
No, I agree that I think they could have done more contouring to the face just to make the cheekbones a little more angular and stuff. But like, I'm just being nitpicky when I get into that.
Well, I saw a video of Lars Mikkelsen doing an interview from Star Wars Celebration, and you could see like he's got the chiseled face for it. But so I think it's something about the CGI blue that they've added that just kind of flattens out the face a little bit.
However they're doing it, they could use a little more contrast.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, he's got all the vibes, right? He is Thrawn, and that's really all that matters.
And I really dig the eyes. And there were some moments where I could see that they're kind of glowing the way they're supposed to.
They're very creepy. Yeah.
It was a thing in Star Wars Rebels when they gave him pupils, because originally it was just a flat red eye, but I think they look good.
Yeah, I think they chose the right way of doing it, and just like doing it in post with CGI rather than having him wear the sclera contact lenses.
Hila's trying to get in my lap now.
Oh. I'll go give him something.
Okay, you can give him something. Hilo, you want a little treat? His eyes got so big. He's
Okay,
like, you know that I do. You know that I do. Deidre Russell, thank you for another one. Numbers down due to food shortage. Is this all new? Well, yeah, literally everything in this is new. I don't know if it's due to a food shortage or if they've been fighting nomads or both. I assume it's several things. They've probably run into a lot of problems out there. But yeah, literally everything happening now is new to everyone, even book readers. Miranda here, thank you. How do you think they'll keep up the tension of Thrawn's return through Mando Season 4 and Skeleton Crew and whatever else comes before Filoni's film? Probably with little scenes here or there like we got in Mando Season 3 with the Shadow Council and Pelion being like, I promise Thrawn's coming back. I hope we get to see him being vindicated. But I think we're probably going to get occasional little check-ins somehow with members of the Imperial Remnant. Just the kids and Skeleton Crew could accidentally stumble into an Imperial Remnant base or something. I think there are ways that each show could tackle it. Mando Season 4 seems a little easier because it's already been tied with the Imperial Remnant. We can see him actively going out and fighting Imperial cells or something. I don't think it'll be hard for Mando Season 4 to do that. Jared Kozol, thank you. I was initially torn on Rook's death and Rebels, but if they're not adapting the Nogri storyline from the original Thrawn trilogy, then it makes sense for a different character to assume that role. Yeah, I would not mind at all if we saw a Nogri in live action, just because that's always been such a part of Thrawn's story for me. But, you know, back in Rebels, they adapted what they could from the story. They didn't know. I doubt they knew that they were going to ever tell a story like this in live action. So I think they were like, we should go ahead and kill off Rook. And maybe they regret that now, but Enoch already seems very compelling and interesting. So I'm in. Kermit the Pog, thanks for the question. Wait, did I miss Sabine doing a force push? When? I don't think so. We may have been talking about the moment where she like reaches out to push Shin and Shin reflexively kind of moves back, but I don't think that was an actual force push. Even the descriptive audio says that Shin jumped back reflexively. And now Hilo has brought his treat into my office, so if you can hear him chewing, let me know. Hopefully it's not that loud. Darth Nicholas, thanks for the next one. As a fan of classical antiquity, I found myself geeking out over Captain Enoch's mask. Reminds me a lot of the Roman Ninjmagin helmet and the Calcrease face mask. I saw someone online compare it to the Mask of Agamemnon, which is like a Greek funeral mask, some artifact that was found, also covered in gold. So, but it gave me like, I told you he was going to bring this in here. It reminded me of like gladiator helmet looks that we saw in the movie Gladiator.
Do you want me to take him out?
No, it's fine.
I don't think you can hear it in the mic.
Miranda here, thank you for the next one. This is something I've been thrown off by most in animation to live action characters. Animation is stylized, see Vader and McQuarrie. Live action won't look the same. Inquisitors, Bane, Thrawn, Hera. Yeah, I mean, they're always going to look different. Just even the human characters, if you look at Count Dooku in the Clone Wars versus Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, they're always going to have an element of humanness to them.
Huh?
An element of humanness.
Who?
What?
Who is going to have an element of humanness?
Oh, I thought we were talking about what Thrawn looked like.
No, just, well, maybe, but just in general, the transition from animation to live action.
Yeah, because they're being played by humans.
Do you mean humanity?
I don't know. Just the look of them. Am I loud? My mic got really...
your mic, whenever you leave, it goes up because you have it set to auto adjust.
Oh.
So when you come back, it sounds like you're screaming.
I'll just whisper.
It's better now. It's adjusted.
Okay. Sorry. I had to give all the animals their treats downstairs. Is this where we're at now?
Yeah.
Okay. Josh Mansfield, thanks for being a Biggs Mega fans for 4 months. I legit got goosebumps when I saw the Chimera in its underbelly and about cried when I saw Ezra. But he's going to be ticked. Plus, Ezra meets Jason Wynn. Aw. Yeah, they haven't even met.
I was thinking about how I'm excited to see Ezra and Hera reunite. I think that's going to be great. But yeah, to know that Kanan has a son, that's going to be big for him.
Mm-hmm.
I also got real excited about the Chimera and seeing the artwork. It's one of those things where I'm like, I fully expected it to be there, but it was still nice to see. Andrew711, thanks for the next one. I wonder what happened to the other Star Destroyers. So I was kind of under the impression for a while that the Purrgil took like a whole fleet of Star Destroyers with them, but I think it was just the Chimera.
Yeah, I assumed it was just that ship.
So for a while, I thought it was more Star Destroyers, but I think just the Chimera now.
Yeah. Leah K, thanks for the next one. In Hebrew, Enoch means dedicated or disciplined, which makes sense. I think Thrawn would pick the most dedicated / disciplined to be his night trooper captain.
Yeah. I think there's that, and we might find out that it also has to do with the whole biblical story of him ascending from death as well. Ice, thank you. I finished my Rebels rewatch just before this episode, so I was sufficiently emotional and it was worth it. Loved it from start to end. So did I. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. So good. Finally, we get to see Thrawn and Ezra like in the same episode too. I was like, thank God. Lord Hosk, Koran didn't have
Corin Horn.
Oh. It was spelled with a C, and for some reason I thought that his name was spelled with a K. Didn't have telekinetics. Maybe Sabine doesn't.
Maybe not now. I still think we're going to see her use the Force in a very active and obvious way.
I think so too. That's like the one main thing that the Force allows you to do. So Corran Horn couldn't do that?
I mean, I don't remember if he ever got it in like iJedi. In the X-Wing books, he finds out he has the Force at like the end of book 3 and then doesn't train for a while still. He eventually goes to Luke's academy. But I mean, there are different ways to feel and connect with the Force. So it's possible that she might not have telekinesis through it, but I don't think that the canon interpretation of the Force does so much delineation between Force powers as Legends did.
Mm-hmm. And another super chat from Josh Mansfield. Ahsoka / Sabine in the show reminds me of Rebels Season 2, Episode 9.
I got to look up which one that was.
Yeah, I can't. I don't have that kind of recollection.
It was the episode where Kanan and Rex go undercover as stormtroopers? That seems wrong.
Stealth Strike?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's like Kanan and Rex kind of bickered with one another and eventually came to respect one another. So Ahsoka and Sabine are having a similar relationship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is your door open?
No.
Okay. I'm just hearing myself a little bit through your mic.
I don't know how else to set the settings on my mic.
I'll just close my door.
Okay.
Ice, thank you. Really liked the opening scene. Hu Yang continues to be a sass master. Really liked the discussion and the way he stuck up for Sabine. I get Ahsoka's POV, but I don't think she'll hold it against her. I don't really think so either. I think she was more beating herself up in that scene for not, quote, teaching her right.
I think we've been watching a show called Taskmaster, and now I want to see the show called Sassmaster. That sounds like a Netflix dating show of some kind. Yeah, I agree. The way Ahsoka kind of talked herself through everything that happened, what did she say? It was fate that she made that choice or something like that.
She was fated to make that choice.
Yeah. So I don't know. They got to get over it quick because Thrawn's on his way. Deidre Russell, thank you for the next 2. Hermit crab people are so cute. And I bet Hondo is being saved for the movie. I think there's a chance he could show up in Skeleton Crew just because it's geared a little more towards kids. And I think Hondo would be perfect in a show geared more towards kids. But also, how cool would it be to be in a theater for Hondo's first big live action on-screen appearance?
We also know that Skeleton Crew has a pirate element to it, so that could just be a fun time.
Yeah. You could have the good pirates and the bad pirates.
Uh-huh.
And Hondo is, I guess, considered good.
He's pretty good by the end of Rebels.
He's
like
pretty
he
good.
Actively helps save Lothal. Jack Perry, thank you for the next one. Could there be a TIE Defender on the Chimera? Give Carson a badass pilot moment to take one out. Could for sure see them in the Filoni movie, if not. My eyes were peeled looking for a Defender, and all I saw were normal TIE fighters. Normal, boring TIE fighters. So for now, I'm going to assume that there is not one, but I'm willing to be proven wrong.
I'm sure when Thrawn saw Sabine, he was pretty embarrassed that he didn't have any to show off to her specifically.
Yeah, but I think the only one he had left really was the one that Hera blew up in Star Wars Rebels.
Mm.
I'm gonna refill.
Okay. Ice has the next one here. I knew Balen's honor was going to be tested, and I'm really happy with how it's being done. Rey continues to be excellent, and I'm loving the intrigue. Yeah, Balen's character might be one of my favorite new additions to Star Wars so far because the acting is great. His fight choreography was really cool, and I'm just like, we're so curious to figure out what it is that he's after. And the fact that Shin is with him makes him a really, really compelling character. Catherine O'Leary, would Hilo be okay if you adopted a howler? I wonder how Pippin would react. So I think, let's see. Hilo gets a little intimidated if a dog is bigger than him at the dog park, so he might be like a little standoffish at first, but I'm sure they would get along if he were living with us. Pippin would probably hate it. Pippin hates most things, except for food and pets. And even then, sometimes you'll get a scratch or a bite if you pet him. But I don't know. I would love to have a howler. They were so cute. Parker Kennedy, thank you for the super chat. Shin and Sabine, enemies to lovers. Thoughts? I have seen people online ship the two of them. I don't personally ship them, but I could see it happen. They've exchanged some looks where I'm like, I think there's more going on there that we don't quite understand yet as the audience, and I'm here for it. I don't know if Filoni's going to go in that direction with them, but maybe. Alex,
Shin
you
and Sabine,
shipping-
enemies to lovers. Thoughts? Am
are
I
you
shipping
shipping
them? I'm trying to think if there's anyone I'm shipping in this show. Really, I'm not much of a shipper, except for Cal and Marin.
I kind of said I would love it if it happened, because the kind of glances and visual exchanges that they've had have been very intense, but
And
I don't think Filoni's going to go there.
They definitely have like parallels. They're definitely enemies right now, but I like that they have similar journeys that they're on.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'm not expecting Filoni. He like doesn't really dabble in romance. Yeah, he doesn't dabble in romance much at all with his Star Wars. Like,
which is totally fine.
Yeah. Hera and Kanan, I guess the closest thing. Of course, he had like Anakin and Padme in the Clone Wars, but that was baked into the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if after all the years writing for Clone Wars, he just got used to that and got used to not incorporating any kind of romance in the story with any new characters. I don't know. He's got to bring it in at some point.
Luke Van Own. I adore the balance of silly and impressive compelling this episode. Feels very Filoni. Do you have a favorite silly element of Star Wars?
Ooh, of all of Star Wars?
I mean, in this episode, I would just go with the crab people. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
In all of Star Wars.
I think my favorite silly element of Star Wars is men not having a plan for anything and the droids.
I'm trying to think of like
the droids being silly and like
I've got mine.
Over the top.
Scuba Stev. I got genuinely excited to see Scuba Stev everywhere I went in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. If I saw his little boat, I'd be like, how do I get over there? I gotta talk to him.
He was at the end of when I finished my playthrough of Survivor, and I was like, look at him in the tank back there. Yep. And you were like, oh my God. I didn't fall in love with him quite as much as you did, but he is super cute. And Jar Jar is like a huge silly element that we have to acknowledge.
Yeah. Darth Nicholas, thanks for the next two. To get back to my first super chat, I thought Thrawn looked too much like an Elon Musk Smurf in the Ahsoka trailer, but I'm glad that wasn't the case for this episode, besides that one trailer shot. I love how the Nightsisters and Night Troopers gave off Bene Gesserit and Sardaukar vibes, respectively. Great nod to one of the biggest influences on Star Wars, Dune. Yeah, going back to those Dune roots with Spice and Tatooine and stuff. Mollie, any thoughts on that?
I'm typing. Hold on. I can't do things at once sometimes. Yes, I definitely got Dune vibes. I said it during our reaction, and I think I talked about it earlier too, that like it was, I mean, Star Wars in general is heavily Dune inspired and vice versa. So that makes sense.
Ice, thank you. And I did enjoy the A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away. Now I want to hear David Tennant read all the opening crawls in Star Wars, including Ahsoka. The Ken Plume pitched Hu Yang History series, I think, would be fun.
Yeah. Oh my God, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. Deidre Russell, but I killed all the dead Nightsisters on Dathomir in Jedi Fallen Order.
Apparently there's a whole other planet full of them.
they got catacombs on catacombs of lots of them.
There's just there's an endless supply, I guess, that the Nightsisters have. Ice, thanks for another. I won't lie, I was tense this whole episode because I had no idea what we'd see. I hadn't felt that on edge since part 3, but I mean that in the best way. That's it. I didn't really feel on edge at all this episode. I was just like taking it all in. I wasn't like scared or nervous for anything to happen. I was just excited to see what came next.
Yeah, I don't think I felt on edge. I guess seeing Thrawn pop up, I was kind of on edge to see like what he was going to do or say, because he's another one of those quiet talkers that you got to really like lean in for. But I mean, when you feel tense, I mean, I think that's storytelling at its best.
Oh yeah, just means you're engaged.
Yeah. Catherine O'Leary, I wonder how Eli Vanto feels about being replaced by Enoch. Thrawn is mine. Yeah, we have had a couple of people bring up Eli Vanto, but I don't know that he would be jealous.
Well, I think Thrawn could be equally as jealous because now Vanto's had 10 years with Admiral Aralani, so Thrawn's probably over there like, no, Eli is mine.
Oh yeah,
they're probably
Aralani
both
is a lot easier on the eyes.
Probably easier to talk to also.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking kind of sweaty.
Darth Nicholas, thank you for another one. Do you think we'll see Captain Enoch and the Night Troopers remove their helmets? I wouldn't mind seeing what are almost certainly more horned Zabraks in LA. Live action, okay. It was like in Los Angeles. But at the same time, I really dig the troopers' aura of mystery. I think most of those troopers are just stormtroopers.
Yeah, I think they were there.
Star Destroyer.
They were on the Chimera when it got yeeted to this other galaxy.
Enoch might be something special. And it'll be interesting to find out if Zabraks are on Peridia. Like figuring out the whole Zabrak thing, because some of them are from Eridonia and some of them are from Dathomir, and are some of them now from Peridia? I don't know, but I'm just expecting them all to be human for now.
Yeah, same. Although I feel like the Zabrak people have a built-in kind of like buffer between their heads and the helmet.
Might make the helmet more comfortable, yeah.
Ice has the next one. The call in Rebels is going to hit different, knowing the journey Ezra learns about is apparently for them to die at Peridia, that elephant graveyard around the planet, but its Purgil bones was so grim. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but I love the idea that so as soon as we got the shot of the planet, I was like, ooh, cool, the planet has a ring. And then you find out that the ring is just Purgil bones.
That's really cool.
But it totally fits with the Nightsisters for it to be a literal graveyard planet.
I don't think that like every Purgil that goes there has to instantly die. Like, I think it's just a place that they do go when they're like, I think I'm old and I need to go. Like, I don't know, nature calls them to this spot, but like, I don't think the Purgil that all took Ezra and Thrawn there immediately died, or the Purgil that are taking Ahsoka there now. I don't think they're going to show up and like spit her out and be like, guess I'll die.
Well, I wonder if some people might think that the trip itself could kill them, but I don't think that's the case.
Like if it's that exhausting.
It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like just part of their migration, and that, yeah, maybe they are pulled there because of the the Nightsister magic being like, this is basically a graveyard planet anyways, come die here.
Like billboards.
Yeah.
Intergalactic hyperspace lane billboards.
We could use your bones.
Bucky's.
Come die here.
Come die here.
Bucky's.
64 miles.
No. No, don't make it a Bucky.
Darth Nicholas thanks for another one. This may have been asked already, but do you think Captain Enoch and the Night Troopers are all undead? Enoch is the one that I'm like iffy on. I think most of them are dead. Undead, whatever.
I want to believe that they are all undead and that maybe Enoch is the one that's alive. Because you're right, I do want to see what's his face pull that helmet off at some point. Just because, like, why would you cast him and not show his face? But it's quite possible that they won't. But just because of the biblical story of Enoch, I kind of hope that they're all dead except for him.
But I do, I want to see Wes Chatham just outside of the armor. I don't know. The dude is huge. If you've never seen The Expanse, he plays Amos, best character in the show. But he is a massive person, so I would not mind seeing him just out of the armor, kicking ass.
And taking names.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Lang, was Thrawn just lucky the Purrgil go to the home of the Nightsisters? They don't just go to a barren world where he'd be stuck, or am I missing something? Thrawn was very lucky that they went there. And Thrawn happened to know a Nightsister back in the other galaxy.
Yeah, apparently. I'm still, some of that stuff, the history with Morgan Elsbeth, I'm like, what? When did you have time for this, Thrawn? To meet this Nightsister lady that we've never heard about? Whatever. Like, well, that'll all get smoothed out later. But
I'm sure it happened, like, one episode in Rebels would have covered it. And if that had happened, we would have been like, oh yeah, they know each other.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was probably that, like, whatever planet she was at, what's the planet from Mando?
Oh, Corvus?
Corvus. Maybe Thrawn went there for something. And also, apparently Morgan had a bunch of
factories on Corellia and stuff.
Factories. And so, like, maybe they knew each other from the TIE Defender days.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that Thrawn's history has been pretty well cataloged, but you're right. One episode in Star Wars Rebels, and I would have been like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense. So it's fine. But it's just to learn about this character, Morgan Elsbeth, and then to hear, oh, she had a relationship with Thrawn back in the olden days, and also she was really important to the Empire and had all these factories. And I'm like, who even are you? She doesn't even go here.
She doesn't even go here.
She's from another galaxy. Francisco Gios, thank you for the next question. I'm calling it Zeb coming in to save Hera and Jason, or vice versa, on episode 8, just like Han saved Luke from Vader. I do think Zeb is going to come in and provide reinforcements for... Carson is from the same Adelphi outpost, so when Thrawn shows up, he might send out a call for reinforcements.
Mm-hmm. I do hope we see Zeb at some point. We only have 2 more episodes.
I think we will.
Ice has the next one. When people suggested it in speculation, I wasn't huge on the idea of Nightsisters coming from Peridia, but in execution, I have no issues with it. That is good to hear. I also have no issues with it.
I did not expect the Nightsisters to be on Peridia at all, so it was a pleasant surprise, and I was into it. Alexander, thank you for the next one. While I do like their performances, I can't help but feel that there's room for improvement in the character design costumes of Thrawn and Hera. Yeah, we kind of touched on that. And I think that it's very much something that will improve, just because I feel like we've seen that evolution in other Star Wars characters of the first time they show up, it's like good enough. And then they kind of figure out the process a little more. And so
Mhm.
in future series, I think they're going to improve.
Yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement. And I'm sure they're going to take into account some of the criticisms from fans. Probably not all of them, but some of them.
I mean, they mentioned at the Ahsoka panel the criticism that came up from Ahsoka's Montrals, and they were like, "Yeah, we heard you, and we were trying to figure it out, and we did."
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like that was part of the reason why they did some of those behind the scenes looks of her designs and
Yeah.
like made a point to say the taller and longer Montrals just would not have worked in like live action choreography instances. Like it would have looked clunky and rubbery, and like they figured out how to 3D print like a spine for them, but you
Mhm.
still couldn't have made it too long or else it would have gotten in the way. Lightspeed Bear, sorry if already talked about, but I thought Thrawn and Ezra were perfect. Iman Isfandi nailed the voice and mannerisms. There's a lot to do in 2 episodes, though. Yeah, I thought they both sounded and acted pretty perfectly. The look is
Yeah.
just something to get used to in live action.
I feel like every season of a Star Wars show, I have that same thought of like, there's a lot to do in these last 2 episodes. But I remember thinking that in The Mandalorian season 2, and then being like, what do you mean we're gonna go break Bill Burr out of prison? Like, why are we doing
There's
this?
no time.
And then that episode rocked, and they still had enough time to wrap up everything in a satisfying way. So
Yeah.
I think that they have enough time, especially if they're continuing with this average runtime of
Mhm.
over 45 minutes, it seems like.
I love this one from another super chat from Scotty Heron. Peridia's rings being Purgil bones was metal AF.
It was.
You were correct.
There's a lot of metal stuff in this episode, just like the night troopers that might be zombies, and Enoch, and the cobbled together Star Destroyer howlers.
Just adding gold to everything.
Uh-huh.
Love it.
Literal metal. Jeff Gloff, thanks for the next one. Did you ever expect them to say a long time ago in a Star Wars project?
Oh,
And
yeah.
if so, do you think this was a good way to do it? You know, it's one of those things where I was like, okay, it's a little on the nose, but I enjoyed it. All it means is once upon a time. Like,
Yeah.
George Lucas wrote that down because he wanted Star Wars to be a fairy tale, but he didn't want to say once upon a time. So he used that just to help audiences like get in the mindset of, all right, I'm about to hear a fairy tale.
Mm-hmm. I loved it. I don't think I was expecting it at all, but as soon as Hu Yang started talking about his history of the universe, I was like, stop right there, Hu Yang. You got me. I want to hear that. I don't care what happens in this show. Tell me
Let's
that
take
story.
a detour. Tell me a story from 25,000 years ago, please.
Tell me all about it, Hu Yang, please. And then when he asked Ahsoka to tell him a story, I thought that was really, really cute. Just their whole relationship is cute. But no, I was not expecting that to come up. And someone posted a clip of Filoni at Star Wars Celebration
Yeah.
when he was asked, where is Thrawn? He responded with Far, Far Away, which is the title of this episode. Come on. He knew. He had that in his
Come on,
back pocket.
Filoni. Come on. Anime guy 1 million. That's too many zeros to
1,
count.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros.
10 million? Anime guy. I feel like this is going to be more like the Thrawn duology. Okay, duology, but this time it's actually Thrawn. Gotcha. Because Thrawn was dead in the Thrawn duology. They might just be taking elements of all of Legends Thrawn for this, because I definitely see a lot of heavy inspiration from the original Thrawn trilogy. I think that's probably what they're going to mine the most as we gear up for this New Republic Imperial Remnant War. But I don't think that they're leaving anything on the table. I'm sure they got all of like the Thrawn stories and they were like, let's go over all of this. Even that time he dressed up like Jodo Cast, and let's see what we can take and learn from it. Ice, thank you for another one. I lost my mind seeing the Great Mothers. Love how they're full on Nightsisters, complete with the Talzin Echo voice. Can't wait for dark magic hijinks. Me neither.
Yes, please. Give me that dark magic with a CK.
I hope it's real weird. I hope that it's way more than just Morgan's little like finger flame.
Yeah, I feel like Morgan is very detached from her Nightsister heritage and
yeah.
roots and abilities. So she might not be that powerful, and that might be why she had to get into the shipyard business.
Yeah, I kind of get that vibe too, because I was kind of wondering if over the course of the series she would eventually reveal her true self or something, but now
we don't need that anymore.
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, she just might be related to the Nightsisters.
It makes so much sense. Yeah, it makes so much sense now, because everybody was like, well, she doesn't have the gray skin and she doesn't have all the skin markings. She has like a little marking up on the top of her head, which makes me think it's like all along her head and spine, which would look cool. But yeah, maybe she's not like full. What am I trying to say? Full-blooded Nightsister. Yeah,
I can.
Or she's just, maybe you just lose your abilities after a while, especially after your whole civilization, your whole people get annihilated.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that lines up with other interpretations of the Force. I can see that too. Ice also says, I do wonder if the line "It reeks of Jedi" about Sabine referred to her potential Force sensitivity or the mother's sensing her goal of finding Ezra. I think it can be both. I mean, I think her goal of saving a friend is a Jedi thing to do, so there is that. But I also think it's the Jedi teachings, the fact that she has the heart of a Jedi, even if it hasn't fully come out in an obvious way.
Yeah. She hasn't had her Jedi coming out party yet.
That'd be funny if she like took that as a real compliment. She's like, wait, me? Seriously? I smell like a Jedi? Thank you.
Aw. That'd be cute. Go ahead.
I was actually wondering if the Great Mothers were the original Nightsisters, the culture's founders, but more likely they were also exiled like Thrawn. Yeah, that's something that I have big questions about.
You think they were exiled?
No, I just don't know why they're there.
I don't think they were exiled. I think they're just left over to maybe protect that planet and what's left of it.
But like, how old do you think they are?
I think they're pretty old. I don't think they were the original Nightsisters, because you don't see them hopping on any Purrgil to get out of there.
Well, that's what I like. I don't think they can just hop on a Purrgil and leave. Well, yeah, you did. You said your green bubble theory, and I'm on board with that. So
she came down in a bubble.
She came in a bubble, bro. You're right. I do wonder if they are part of the original culture and they never left Peridia, or maybe cool if they were. Or they were from Dathomir and they got on like a tour bus and it crashed on Peridia. They were like, let's go see the homeland, and then it crashed and they're like, well, we're stuck here.
Oh no. I mean, what's the mythology behind the three fates? Were they original from the beginning of time, according to Greek mythology?
No, I think they are the daughters of some of the Titans. I can look that up.
So
they're not as old as time. No.
right. But if they were the daughters of Titans, that could mean that they were some of the first Nightsisters. If we think Nightsisters came from greater beings or something like that.
By the time I figure it out, someone in chat will probably have said, but
Josh Mansfield says, wait, just thought of something. Where was Pelion?
So
Where is
Pelion,
Pelion?
oh, we kind of talked about this with the fact that there are no other Star Destroyers there. Pelion did not get taken to Peridia. He is back in the main galaxy, hanging out with the Shadow Council, assuring everyone that Thrawn will return. I guess he's been talking to Morgan, who keeps saying, I'm working on it, stall them. But he is not with Thrawn. There's another reunion I really hope to see. I hope they hug, just like Ezra and Sabine did.
They're stuffy old men. They're not going to hug.
I hope they hug.
I do too, but I know they won't.
Campy, thanks for the next one. I enjoyed the ep, but keep nitpicking the far galaxy. I wish it was more distinct instead of kinda like the normal galaxy, and Peridia like the same barren planet we see in all the live action shows. I did have a thought of like, this is planet California again with a different color scheme. But the different color scheme alone, like that did a lot for me. Instead of Mapuzo, where Leia and Obi-Wan are just like walking down a trail in California. At least the coloring made it look more alien.
I thought the same thing. I felt like I had super high expectations for what this other galaxy was going to look like. So I immediately lowered them and was like, it's probably going to look the same. But in my head, I was like, what if it is almost like the upside down from Stranger Things, and like things are just completely different and wacky, and it would have been cool to do that, but I just don't think they had the budget for it after the last episode, frankly. So yeah, I don't know.
It worked for me.
Yeah.
I also was not expecting anything crazy. I think the only reason it's in another galaxy is for it to be hard to get there, and for there to be a reason that Thrawn never came back and Ezra never came back, is that it's like they literally couldn't. So I think that's the big reason it's in another galaxy. It could have also just been in the unknown regions or something, but I don't think if we were able to go to another galaxy, other habitable planets would probably look a lot like ours.
Probably.
I assume. I don't know. I'm no scientist.
Apparently aliens are real, and we'll never know what their planets look like.
Wasn't there like an alien from Mexico that people were talking about a week ago? And again, just like the UFO thing, I was like, I don't have the energy for this right now.
Yeah. All of it either feels fake, or it's like, who has the time and energy? Who do you think we are?
In this economy?
In this economy. Come on. Yeah, I don't know.
It's your turn.
Oh, sorry. Rivi has the next one. Was not expecting Beard Ezra, but I'm here for it. I'm so happy for everyone that's here for Beard Ezra.
You're the only one that doesn't like Beard Ezra.
It's not that I don't like him. I just feel like
you just want him to shave it off.
He would look more like Ezra if he got rid of it. I'm not saying he has to get rid of it. I'm not out here with pitchforks.
I'm happy with new look Ezra. I prefer this over the shaved head. I wasn't crazy about that when he shaved his head in season 3. I was like, I like the longer hair.
I do think someone earlier pointed it out. Where's the blue hair?
Yeah. I mean,
why is his hair blue?
They really nailed the eyes, but the hair, maybe it's a very, very dark blue.
Sure. Fine. They had to know that all these criticisms were coming from hardcore Rebels fans.
Stop it, Geo. Mollie's the only one that doesn't like the beard. The only
It's not
one.
just me.
No.
And again, I want to reiterate, it wasn't that I hated it. I just feel like it would feel and look more like Ezra if he got rid of it. And it's to be like it's fine that he had it in the first place because he was stuck on this other planet for 10 years. So yeah, he might not feel like shaving. But now it's go time. Get the game face on, baby.
What if he tried to shave for Sabine like real fast when he saw her walking down the hill and just cut his face all up?
You know what? I bet he did at least take a comb through his beard and was like,
Yeah.
oh no, Sabine's here. Let me primp a little bit.
Josh Mansfield, thanks for another one. Does Peridia have a World Between Worlds portal? Still one on the Chimera. I think Ezra destroyed the Chimera one. Maybe it could be rebuilt, but the fact that Palpatine was so upset that he pulled all those stones down, I think that one might be done for. After episode 5, I'm like, there might be a lot more to accessing the World Between Worlds than just these portals. It might not need a specific location where you have to hop in. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. I would love it if they could just like toss a portal up wherever. Just
If
get weird
you're
with it.
connected enough to the Force, you might just be able to walk right in.
What if Ezra had that ability this whole time and he just like
Didn't know it.
didn't think about it?
Oh man,
I'm just living my best
you're
life
right.
over
You're
here.
right.
With crab people.
That's kind of heartbreaking.
And he's like, oh man. I have Scott's super chat because they sent it in again. Let me find it. Here we go. Thank you, Scott, for the super chats. Sorry my message didn't go through. Do we think Ezra and Sabine will develop a more romantic relationship by like maybe season 2? Maybe they did find the quote unquote friend thing earlier as a mislead.
I kind of like after season 1 of Star Wars Rebels, I feel like they really shift into a brother-sister dynamic more than romantic.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there's ever going to be a romance there.
It could happen, but I'm not really expecting it. Just the way that they treated the two of them in Star Wars Rebels. It was like the second Ezra met Sabine, he was infatuated. And throughout season 1, that kind of held true. But after that, they just seemed like brother and sister.
Mm-hmm. And
maybe it'll shift back, but I'm not expecting it.
I do love them as brother and sister. I would also love them as a romantic couple. It all depends. Like we said earlier, Filoni isn't the best at telling romance stories.
He just seems uninterested in it, I guess.
Yeah, and which is fine. And actually, sometimes it's a little bit like refreshing to see something told out over several years that doesn't really have much romance to it, because that feels like something that is just so heavily leaned on in a lot of storytelling.
Oh, I remember in Rogue One at the end when like Jyn and Cassian are going down that elevator, I thought they were about to kiss and I was like, don't do that. Why do that all of a sudden? And I'm so glad they didn't.
And now we trust Gareth Edwards.
Yep. Tully Quinn, thank you for the next one. Sad to think the New Republic has balked at the threats presented by Gideon, Thrawn, and the First Order. Amazed they lasted as long as they did. And they're going to win this war too, which will be interesting. But, I mean, the New Republic survives all the way until the sequel trilogy, so they're they're gonna come out of this on top.
Barely. But yeah.
You don't know.
I mean, they're hobbling their way through. And they still got a lot of creeps working for them.
Yeah, but Xiono still works for them all the way until the sequel trilogy too, so
That's what I said. They got a lot of creeps. Annie has the next super chat. Enoch's helmet reminds me of the Mycenian death masks. I think I got a text message about this recently.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh yeah. That's the Mask of Agamemnon.
Agamemnon.
The Mask of Agamemnon. It's the same style, same thing. So the Mask of Agamemnon is a Mycenian death mask. But yeah,
cool.
They're funeral masks.
Yeah.
Which is another tie potentially to undead stormtroopers.
Interesting.
Thank you, Ice. The shot of the Chimera was so badass. I love that we saw the design underneath. I jumped for it. It's definitely seen better days, though. The Purrgil really did a number on it. Also, how the heck is that thing even still airborne? It's barely hanging by a thread. I was expecting it to be beat up, but damn, it looked really rough. It was more beat up than I was expecting to, but I was just relieved in general to see that there was battle damage to it and that it wasn't just like a normal old Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm glad it looked that beat up because the fact that how did the Purrgil take that Star Destroyer with them?
They just wrapped their tentacles around it. There's like 3 of them, and then they jump away.
So, yeah, knowing that when Ahsoka wanted to take the Purrgil to this other galaxy, they just like put her in their mouth.
Yeah. No, they did not eat the Star Destroyer.
Well, no, I'm saying like that was a rush job by the Purrgil to take the Chimera. Also a much bigger deal to take a ship that big through extra galactic hyperspace.
They they were not being gentle. Like they were there to do damage and FS up. They were just like slamming into all the Star Destroyers, and they're like, this one specifically, we're taking you away.
Yeah.
And Ice also said, I was laughing at this image of old Blue pulling up in his old beater of an ISD. He just refuses to get rid of his old car. It means too much of him.
That's all he has left.
It's literally all he has left.
That is truly his. Everything else is like the new Gen X / the Nightsisters that he's teamed up with.
I gotta take a quick bathroom break, so I'll be right back.
Well, I'll read this super chat from Kim Plume. Thanks, Ken. Alex, Thrawn, and Mollie. Great mother. Hallow stream, please. Yeah, I would love to do more Halloween stuff in the Star Wars universe. Griff, we're not getting Big Mollie. I told Alex never to leave me alone on screen again because I never wanted to go full screen. It's too late for that. It's almost 9:15. Thomas has the next super chat. Thrawn compared to Cad Bane. Sorry, just came in. Are we purposely comparing Thrawn to Cad Bane, or did someone in chat compare them? Because I don't think we did. Or are we talking? Oh, are we talking about the makeup? Honestly, Cad Bane looked so good because it was mostly real prosthetics that they were using. But they are both blue. You are right, Samuel Rogers. They are both blue. I think the biggest criticism I remember hearing about Cad Bane was that his hat wasn't big enough. Which, if you're going for a straight-on one-to-one comparison to animation, you're right. His hat wasn't big enough. Scotty Heron, thanks for another one. It's gotten a little lost in the hype of Thrawn, Ezra, Nightsisters, etc. But shout out to Sabine's fight with the Raiders. Loved her use of her gauntlets and the way she cut that last guy's staff up. Yeah, that was a cool fight. I forgot about that. And it seemed like kind of a losing fight for her for a while there, but she held her own pretty well.
I kind of keep forgetting about that scene too.
Mhm.
It just seemed almost like a throwaway just for Shin and Balen to be able to track her. But I did like seeing her competently fight them off. And now that the Mandalorian armor, the Beskar, has been established as something that you can just get shot and it's fine. I like how much they use it.
Yeah.
Lord Hosk, thanks for the next one. Are we keeping you from something far, far away? No, you're just keeping us from something close, close by.
Our dinner could be considered far, far away because we never cooked it.
Calm like a bomb, thanks for the next one. How pissed is Thrawn going to be that they built 2 Death Stars instead of the TIE Defender program? He already hated super weapons. I think he's probably going to be like, yeah, that sounds about right. Just, he already knew that the Defender program was lost after the factory blew up. I think he is going to be like, I can't believe they built another one, but that sounds like Palpatine's go-to move.
That was his thing. Jane Dalton, thank you for the next super chat. Is Mollie's dream Star Wars role now a live-action Nightsister? I mean, yeah. That would be pretty awesome. Either that or like the babysitter of Grogu.
You can be both. You might need some force
me.
powers, some magic to handle that baby.
I'll use dark magic on Grogu if he is out of line.
You
I
might need it.
I feel like being an undead anything in any movie would be super fun. So maybe.
Deidre Russell, thanks for another one. Corpses being moved to Peridia or from? They're being taken off of Peridia from that structure's catacombs.
The catacombs, yeah.
Thrawn says, like, as per our agreement, we will load up your cargo and we'll take it back to the other galaxy. But for what purpose, I have no idea.
Undead Ghost Army. Bones McCoy, late to the stream, but did y'all already mention the Witch's Tower entering the Chimera? Also sending gray little bodies into the hangar. Dave?
I thought it was pretty cool that they could just kind of rest on top of the tower.
It was like a docking situation.
Yeah, that they can just level out with the tower and then move their cargo in.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we didn't read that much into it, Bones McCoy.
No.
What an appropriate name. Scotty Heron, thank you for the next question or super chat. I'm hoping the troopers are living and just full on Cult of Thrawn, but that we also get Nightsister zombies, and that's what the caskets are for. I'm on board. I want all the stormtroopers to be zombies, but if they're not, if they're just full on cultish people, that's cool too.
They're kind of stuck there with them, so you think after 10 years they might be like, yeah, okay, this guy's onto something.
just some of the lines about like our forces have dwindled these past years and stuff. There's some things I feel like are hinting about it, but if we're off base, that's fine.
Deidre Russell has another super chat here. Did Thrawn show autism enough? I didn't think so. I think historically, a lot of, I don't know if you've ever talked to Timothy Zahn about this, but a lot of people have assumed that Thrawn is on the spectrum.
I would not be surprised if Thrawn were neurodivergent. He definitely doesn't take social cues. Like that's in the Thrawn book, Thrawn. One
the
of
first
his
one.
Yeah. The first canon one. It's so confusing now because there are
Sure.
there are three Thrawn trilogies. In the book that is simply titled Thrawn, he has a lot of trouble with like the politics of being an Imperial naval officer, and that's what Governor Price comes in to help him do, is navigate that world, because he just doesn't understand it. The same is true in the Ascendancy books. But we haven't really gotten a lot of time with Thrawn yet. And I also don't know. I guess what we need to see is him with the Shadow Council and how he handles all of those people. But I'm not expecting Filoni to take a lot of heavy inspiration from the books. Like, I think that Thrawn is going to be, I've said this before, a lot less nuanced than the books treat him. I think he's just going to be the villain for these shows and the movie.
Yeah. Speaking of Thrawn, Ice says Thrawn looked fantastic. The blue skin, the voice, the eyes, the demeanor. Feels like they ripped him right out of Rebels. Passed all the vibe checks, true. And the organ music the Kiners delivered as usual. All very true. The organ music hit so hard. It was such a bop.
I love the organ from day one back in that Star Wars Rebels trailer. I just fell in love with it. It fit Thrawn perfectly. It's something that you don't hear much in Star Wars, but
that's why it stands out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels elevated, classical. It's great. Ice also says, Enoch and the Night Troopers looked so cool. Great inclusion. Definitely think they are troopers resurrected by magic, or at least Enoch is. I love that his helmet resembles a literal death mask. Thrawn's alliance with the Mothers is great, fits his character, but it scares me. That cargo looked like caskets to me. Am I crazy, or might Thrawn invade the New Republic with a zombie army? I don't know if we're going to go that far, and I even don't think there couldn't possibly be enough undead Night Sisters to invade the entire galaxy. I still have a lot of questions about what he and the Night Sisters are up to and what he's helping them with, but it might just be like, hey, I'll help you take your dead back to Dathomir or something. It could be as simple as that, but I kind of figure if we're seeing caskets in episode 6, we're going to see zombies in episode 7 or 8.
Wouldn't that be crazy if like all they wanted to do was bury their own in
like something really simple
at Dathomir?
And then they just drop him off on Dathomir,
like,
and they're like, thank you. What a nice man. What a nice blue man.
What a nice blue man. Darth Nicholas, thanks for the next super chat. I totally forgot to mention how hearing Thrawn's organ theme was the cherry on the cake of Thrawn's live action debut for me. Cherry on cake.
There can be cherries on cake.
Yeah, it's usually like cherry on the sundae
or icing on the cake.
Icing on the cake, but I like cherry on the cake. And you're right. That was the thing that really did us in for Thrawn.
And Nicholas says, since Morgan is the first human Night Sister we've seen in canon, there were many in Legends, do you think the Night Sisters have a tradition of adopting humans and other non-Zabrak near humans into their clans? There's still this possibility that Morgan could be Bug, a character from a short story in what's that book called? Stories of Light and Dark, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It was the only original story in that book, and it was written by Dave Filoni's wife, and it's about a Nightsister that wasn't like Mother Talzin. So the fact that Morgan is set apart even in this episode, I'm like, that might be her.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna zip through the last couple of super chats here. It's getting pretty late. We are going to send you guys off to go watch our buddy Brian over on A Certain Point of View to watch him do a spooky stream. He's playing Five Nights at Freddy's. Just putting that out there.
And you can jump scare him and stuff.
Before we wrap up, yeah, it was like the big first spooky stream of the season. So I'm excited for that. But until then, we've got Queersland Australia. Claudia Black has now done Stargate, Farscape, and Star Wars.
And Uncharted. She plays Chloe in the Uncharted games. Who's a great character. You did not like her in the movie, but that was not Claudia Black.
Yeah. It's fine.
Elliot Finn, thank you. Trust Ezra to make friends with rock turtle people. Ezra can make friends with anyone.
They were super cute.
He needs to make friends with those nomads, is what he needs to do.
The ones that are constantly attacking everyone?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Vex431, Balen tells Shin about the witches, and the subtitles say the witch kingdom of Dathomiri. Could that be the original name of their culture, and Dathomiri is the Star Wars galaxy subculture, or just a typo?
So the way I understood it was the Dathomiri were a race of people, and then they settled. They came to the main galaxy. They settled on Dathomir. They probably landed there, and they were like, "We will call this planet Dathomir after us." That's how I'm guessing it is, but I think the witch kingdom of Dathomiri was on Peridia, and then Dathomir became their colony.
That sounds right to me.
That's my guess. Ice has a thread here. Thank you, Ice.
Oops.
Crazy to think how this is actually Sabine and Thrawn's first meeting. She's the only Ghost crew member he never met face-to-face in Rebels, ironically. I loved Thrawn kind of being petty AF, sending Balen and Shin to follow Sabine just for a chance to kill her and Ezra and get his revenge on them. He probably does still consider Ezra a threat, which is why he had his scouts try to track him. I wonder if he was hunting Ezra before he returned. I can see him holding Ezra prisoner for a time, but then he escaped and has just been avoiding Thrawn all this time. I don't think he would release him. I agree. I don't think he released Ezra. I think Ezra probably escaped at some point. Maybe the second they got to Peridia, he just jumped out the window and rode a whale off into the distance and has just been hiding ever since.
My headcanon is that Thrawn was just so fed up. He was like, I don't want to see your face. Get out.
I think that works too, honestly. Like, he may have released him knowing he couldn't go anywhere, but also knowing, like, he might help me escape this place someday. He is the reason why they got there. Then why would you kill the only tie you had left back to the other universe or to the other galaxy? Maybe.
They just hated each other. Oh, sorry. Was that the end of the thread?
Yeah.
Okay. Chris Bassetto has the next super chat. It seems like they're making Thrawn a definite big bad, but reading the two trilogies, wouldn't it be a better overall story to have Thrawn talk the New Republic into joining forces with the Chiss to fight the Grisk? I mean, we could talk about what coulda, shoulda, woulda, but reading the books versus live action Thrawn, they're going to be very, very different. And
yeah, I think that's just the unfortunate reality.
A lot of people, including I only read one Thrawn book, but after reading that one Thrawn book, I was like, I'm Team Thrawn. I like this guy. He's cool. So they need a big bad. It's going to be Thrawn. They're not going to make him the good guy that a lot of the books make him out to be.
I think there's a chance that he could go to the New Republic and be like, "Oh, you're in power now. Like, hey, let's join forces and go fight this group of people." But
Not after his reputation, I don't think.
well, I'm just saying that I think that there's a low chance of even mentioning the Grisk at all because
Oh yeah, no.
it's a book only thing. But I don't think the New Republic is in a position to join forces with him and go into the unknown regions and fight the Grisk. Like, they're having enough trouble just taking care of their own borders. The Empire was a group that was like, let's go expand and conquer and take and take and take. And so they would be more interested in, Palpatine was more interested in fighting off any potential threat to that. The New Republic, I think, is going to be a hard group to convince to do that. So I don't think it's going to come up in this story at all, but that can be my headcanon, I guess, that like maybe he did reach out and Senator Ziono turned him down.
He would be the one to turn him down.
Mm-hmm. Luke Van Owen, thank you for another one. Favorite cute alien or droid in all of Star Wars? For just cute factor, cute droid, I'll go beat. I just said droid.
Sorry.
But you can do your favorite cute alien.
Go ahead.
I was going to say BD1.
He's very cute.
For cute droid.
I mean, cute alien has to go to Grogu. Come on.
I think so, yeah. Hard to fight with that.
Or the baby Ithorian.
You like all the babies of Star Wars. You even liked the little baby crab thing.
The baby crab thing was really cute. But that baby Ithorian really got me. It made me cry.
It did.
I wasn't expecting how cute it was going to be. Dion Evans, thank you for the next one. Sorry, late to the party. Since Thrawn is looking into Ahsoka's past, do we think that his meetings with Anakin will be referenced?
Not on screen.
I would love it if they were, but it seems like Thrawn's memory isn't the best right now, so probably not.
I don't think it's going to get referenced on screen, but we can headcanon something that he was looking through the file and be like, oh yeah, Anakin did tell me about her. Got it. He'll remember then. Thomas Lawrence Barman, thank you for the next one. Are we sure the caskets aren't full of undead or unactivated stormtroopers? I'm not sure of anything, but I think that if it's from the Nightsister catacombs, I'm going to assume they're other Nightsisters. Maybe they were being very nice. Maybe they were just letting Thrawn store his dead in their catacombs, but I feel like that would be a sacred place to them.
They've got to be zombie witches.
I think that's more likely. Well, they're not zombie witches yet. Right now, they're just dead witches.
Dead Nightsister witches. Fine. Ice has the next two. Thank you, Ice. I definitely think revenge is something he'd like, but it's a low priority for him, which is why he's putting minimal manpower on it. Unlike most Imperials, he won't put his whims above the larger goals. That feels very Thrawn. And also, Ice goes on to say, Shin did feel like she's wavering in her resolve in this episode, but she's realizing how far out of her depth she and Balen actually are.
He also says, I didn't read her pushing back on Balen honoring his deal because she cares about the morality, more so just because his actions seemed contradictory than back on Cetos. I think she was just confused. I mean, I think she's confused, but if his word keeps on changing and she doesn't feel like she can trust him anymore, then that will be a problem for her. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, where she's like, oh, you're not going to do what you said you were going to do? Interesting. I don't think she's like full on ready to turn against him yet, but I'm just saying I think there are hints that she might.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree that Thrawn wouldn't mind getting revenge, but he said in the episode, he's like, all that matters is escaping this planet. That's all I care about. He's not going to go out of his way to get revenge if it means a delay in escape.
Yeah. I want to bring this one up from Deidre. Repopulate Dathomir? That would be crazy if they made that happen. Like if that was their goal. But it would be cool.
I mean, maybe they want to take their colony back. Like it seems like they want to get away from Peridia, so they're just like, let's go to Dathomir and hang out there. Nightsisters are coming back.
I mean, I would love it if their plan was to just slowly come back into the galaxy, not come back in a full force and like take over anything. They just want to like repopulate.
Cool witches.
Yeah, they deserve to be there as much as everybody else.
Yeah. Just want to hang out and do cool magic. Is that so much to ask? Leave us
That's
alone.
what everyone wants to do all the time.
And our last one here is from our buddy Ken. Thank you. Used to need to go eat dinner. You earned it. Well, we're gonna go eat dinner now because
Thanks,
that is
Ken.
our last super chat of the stream. Thank you, everyone who stuck with us for 3.5 hours. We're gonna wrap up.
I've been trying to keep an eye on Brian's live stream of Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know how well it's going so far, but he's actually started the game now. For a while, he hadn't started it yet, but he started the game. So if you're in the chat now, the stream's going to auto send you over to the channel that I am a co-host on called A Certain Point of View. Feel free to subscribe. It's a great channel. We do lots of fun stuff there. But right now, Brian is doing a spooky stream of Five Nights at Freddy's where you can send in super chats and scare him.
So we are wrapping up. We're going to be back tomorrow, I think, to do a Lego stream. And I saw we got one more question here, but we are ending because we are starving. We'll save that for tomorrow. But thank you, Cheyenne. Everyone have a great rest of your night. May the force be with you. Go scare Brian while he plays Five Nights at Freddy's. Have a great night, everyone.